Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the AILET 2026 analysis, which was conducted in an offline mode today on the 14th of December 2025. Christmas is round the corner, and it appears as if the AILET paper is NLU Delhi's Christmas gift, very sort of, shifty Christmas gift for you, because the paper, even though it was lengthy, was a very easy paper across all sections, except maybe, some parts of general knowledge. So individual section analysis, we are going to do straight after the overall analysis. So this was an offline paper. There are no reported glitches so far during the exam. And as usual, a 150 question paper, which was divided across 3 sections of English, logical reasoning, and GK. So English of 50 questions across 6 passages. The passage length was definitely much longer than CLAT passages. The passage length was definitely, one A4 size sheet long, but easy questions, GK 30 questions, non-passage based, and logical reasoning 70 questions from CR, AR, and legal. So around 7 to 10 AR questions, 4 legal questions. Barring these 11 questions, the entirety of the paper of 55 plus questions were from critical reasoning. So if you missed giving the CR section in the CLAT paper, AILET helped you make up for it in a big way. So the breakup of marks is, as I said, 50 questions of 1 mark each, 50 marks English, 70 questions of 1 mark each logical reasoning. The breakup of logical reasoning, as I have given you already, is 7 AR, 4 legal, and 55 plus CR. So this was the breakup of the logical reasoning section. This is the section breakup in O, in the question paper marked O of the AILET exam. And GK 30 questions, 150 marks, 1 mark per question, minus 0.25 for every incorrect answer. So the paper was, you could say, a little lengthy, as there were only passage-based questions in English, no surprises, no radical changes that like the way we saw in the AILET 2023 exam. It is following the same paper pattern where you have passages followed by questions, a mix of questions. We'll come to English and deal with it. Overall question level was very easy. Therefore, cutoff is expected to be higher or equal to last year. So there will be the same style of cutoff. There were direct GK questions, and a higher accuracy is needed to clear this exam. A higher accuracy is needed to clear this exam because of the easy level of questions. The right and wrong is going to matter a lot over here. So if you make silly mistakes, you might just not be too happy for it. So coming to the passage topics, all genres of reading were touched upon in this paper. As always, we had a passage on democracy, a passage on AI. So passages on democracy, AI, urban gardening, social media. Democracy, AI, and social media have been asked in across 5 mocks of CLAT Possible, with 2 or 3 AILET mocks and the remaining in CLAT mocks. So very, very familiar territory for all of you at CLAT Possible, where these passages verbatim have been given to you. Facial recognition techniques passage, the moment I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this was our mock passage. And urban gardening was one, and a story was there, followed by a comparative essay on a topic. Last year it was politics. Now this year it was law and ethics, morality in law. So these were the 6 passages. The level of difficulty of the paper was easy. Maybe a question or two could be in the gray area. So in the English section, if you see, we had a majority of fact-based questions, direct questions from the passage, no inference, nothing, barely 2 to 3 inference questions. Main idea questions and main idea like questions were there in every passage, one question each. In some main idea like questions, like in the comparative essay passage, there were 3 questions that were harping upon law and ethics, law and ethics, law and ethics answer. So 7 to 10. There was a big amount of logical reasoning in the passages. 1 grammar question, strengthen, weaken, and assumption were there across the passages. 2 assumption questions, 2 strengthen and weaken questions. Assertion reason again was across every passage except the story. So you had to read the assertion and decide whether the reason as per the passage is correct or not. The assertion itself could be incorrect. So it was a reiteration of fact-based questions and very few inference-based questions. 1 grammar question was there in the English section. So fact-based are those questions which you directly pick up from the passage, no thinking. Inference are questions where you read the passage for insights, but you have to think of your answer. You have to deduce an answer. Main idea is the question type where what the passage is saying is asked. Strengthen, weaken, assumption, assertion, reason were added questions since every passage had 9 to 10 questions. To increase the number of questions, some reasoning-based questions were inserted. Vocabulary that was asked through the passage, they were again 6 to 7 vocabulary questions. Those were knowledge-based rather than context-based. So you had to know the answers for those questions. So English was super easy. Because last year a precedence of high cutoff has been set, we believe that since this paper was easy, particularly I would say it was probably a notch below last year's paper, a good score if you have attempted the entire English section would be in the range of 42 to 45 marks. This score is essential for you to get into NLU Delhi in the first list itself. Several logical reasoning based questions were there in the English section. Vocabulary was knowledge based. Many questions required only a minute of the reading. So it was not impossible to finish the paper also. It was possible to finish the paper. We have seen no incorrect answers in the paper so far. Let's wait for the official answer key. And our answer key is going to be uploaded on our website very shortly. Coming to GK, GK covered a whole arena of topics: sports, arts and culture, geography, polity, science, days of the year, awards, space, defense, miscellaneous and international relations. 30 questions. The questions on polity, science and tech were moderate to difficult. Maybe some people don't pay too much attention to science and tech as far as law school GK is concerned, but that was definitely there. Some typical questions on art and culture were also there. Barring these questions, around 8-10 questions, 16 to 18 questions were pretty simple that you could have done. In the GK analysis, the faculty are going to share with you, their insights into this paper and how they would rate the paper and how prepared they feel the students were for this paper. So part 2 of this paper, as I said, this is for O. A good score is somewhere in the range of 17 to 19 marks. And if you touch a 20, you seem to have done an excellent job of GK, right? So this is for as far as the GK is concerned. So as usual, I have already told you a typical AILET GK is a mixture of current affairs plus static. So there was static GK, which probably made this paper a little tougher because static GK seems to have no boundaries. So 12 questions of static GK, remaining were doable questions from current affairs. So questions as such covered were a mix. We have already discussed that. Background questions, context questions were also asked. And one could say that the current part of the paper was easy, and the static part of the paper one could say was a little, moderate, easy to moderate, depending on your preparedness. But a good score according to us would be 17 to 19 marks. Coming to logical reasoning comprised critical reasoning and word-based reasoning, which was 55 plus questions. 7 pure AR reasoning questions were there and 4 legal questions were there. All of the subparts of the logical reasoning section were easy to moderate. Some CR questions could be said to be in gray. We will be releasing our answer key. It will be interesting to see the official answer key for those questions. Again, in the detailed analysis of the CR section, you are going to come across that. So this was the breakup of critical reasoning, strength and weaken, inference, crossover of conditionals and syllogisms. So the regularly asked questions in CR were there in the paper. The overall score for logical reasoning would, a good score, for top 10 ranks would be 57 to 58. You would definitely need 50 to 52 marks in order to make this, the list. So a list of, more than the seats is released so that you know whether you are waitlisted in second or third list. So you would need definitely a score of 57 to 58 for top 10 to 15 ranks, but a definite score of 50 to 52 in order to be there in the list. As I said, reading the passage and comprehending was important over here, but you needed to do regular CR practice for you to be comfortable. This score has been given keeping in mind regular CR practice of the students. So as far as we are concerned, the cutoffs for NLU Delhi for this year would be in the range of 113 to 123. Definitely, because NLU Delhi is one single college with a limited number of general seats, this range is what exhausts the college in any way. So it will be plus minus 4 to 5 marks on either side over here. 123, of course, would be the upper limit of the top 10 ranks in that range. And here 113. So 110, 8, 9, 10, 13 is what we are pitching the AILET cutoff to be this year. So this paper was a high efficiency, high accuracy paper. If you were in your entire senses and if you had even decent practice throughout the year, the reading sections of this paper were easy to doable, hence the high cutoff. Of course, GK came with its own static GK nuances. So the GK cutoff was easy to moderate. So that is all from my side, children. Once again, the cutoff is somewhere pegged at this range. This is the upper limit. This is the lower limit. So this is like top 10 ranks. And this is any rank to get into NLU Delhi. So we hope that you found the analysis helpful. Now we will proceed to section-wise analysis and going over the whole sections of this paper. That will be all from my side. Thank you so much. Very shortly, we are going to start in the next 2 minutes the English analysis of this paper. English लगा दो. लगा के मुझे बुलाओ, मैं अपना पेपर लेके आऊंगी. हाँ, मुझे इंग्लिश लेना है बस. क्या हुआ? मेरे को लेना है. So coming back with the English analysis, 6 passages may seem like a daunting task, but the level of the passages was very, very simple, easy to read, and you have read such high quality passages anyways in your mocks. And some of these passages have come in your own mocks. An account of the mocks I will be sharing with you. So, which is, I'll just share that with you in a bit. The mocks and the passage style. So, passage 2 has come in AILET mock 1, passage 3 has come in AILET mock 2, also in AILET mock 8, a type of passage 3, and passage 2 has also come in CLAT mock. These are common topics, and passage 1 has come in CLAT mock 26. So CLAT mocks 25 and 26 and AILET mocks 1, 2 and 8 have seen this range of passages here. So none of you could say that you were given new passages. So simple passage on democracy, what is the meaning, what is the aim, how democracy is so layered, while it majority people decide the government that comes in power, but democracy's aim is also not to trample the minority, and it requires vigilance and respect for the rule of law. So the practice of democracy is not merely limited to voting, and it encompasses freedom of speech, judiciary, etc. So the author has also spoken about earlier how democracy was held together by journalism, which was largely looking at, a segment of ethics and clarity, and they knew their job was to fact check, as compared to the scenario of social media today. And while there are benefits of social media, many things about social media are hurting democracy. So pretty decent level passage. Since there were 9 or 10 questions to be asked on it, the passage length was also adequate for those questions. So questions 1, for example, simple answer given right in the first paragraph. What is the meaning of inclusive? Simple answer, because all the other options are easy to eliminate. Had there been closer options, we could have spent time on it. And as I was telling you, assertion reason style question. So this statement where voting is the only element is incorrect. However, freedom of speech and an independent judiciary are essential for democracy is correct. One incorrect, one correct makes it option C. So if you look at the range of questions, everything is directly given. Even assertion reason is factually correct or incorrect, so that keeps you safe here. What does vulnerable? So 2 meaning-based questions, so easy to eliminate options A, C and D. It is not completely destroyed, but it is weak. So it's not completely destroyed, but it is susceptible to getting destroyed. So B is a simple answer here. Not listed as a challenge. So definitely these are listed. This is not listed as a challenge. Shortage of essential natural resources. So while economics has been discussed, details of natural resources, borrowed resources has not been discussed. Coming to the next set of questions, 6, 7, 8 and 9. What role does economic inequality play in weakening democracy? So if you read the passage, you know where it talks about economics, which is toward the end of the paragraph, almost 12 lines from the end. So it clearly says that economic inequality poses another significant challenge, which is the fact that economic power translates into political influence. So it's clearly given. Everything in this passage was pretty much given. Okay, so the 7th question, the only sole grammar question, participial phrase is an ing word written as a phrase, right? It is an ing word written as a phrase. So no ing word is written as a phrase here, neither here. Voter manipulation and a growing skepticism. So growing is not a phrase, it is a participle. It is an ing word describing skepticism. The phrase, however, is nurturing responsible citizenship, a phrase that follows a preposition. In fact, skepticism, there is a preposition here. So, of ing word following a preposition, so that would be option D. So, C has a participle, but a participial phrase is given in D. I hope you have understood this question. And the last two questions on this passage. What best illustrates the paradox? The paradox is two opposite things. So for a paradox to be a paradox, there should be two opposite words put together in a new meaning. So no opposite words are given in B, C, or D, right? These are direct statements with no opposites, except 8th, which is pretty much given in the passage. Based on the passage, what author's perspective? So this is our slow theme-based questions. So the author's perspective definitely is that political democracy is meaningless without economic democracy, right? All this is opposite to the author. Economic inequality is actually not an outcome but a cause, right? Political democracy cannot exist functional without economic democracy. Then coming to paragraph 2, which is on artificial intelligence. Paragraph 2 has come in almost 2 mocks this year. So if you see, this passage is focusing on 2 aspects. One is predictive policing and the other is facial recognition technology, or FRT. This exact mock is there in our AILET papers. And the good and bad things of this. So let's go to the questions. What is the central concern raised in the passage? A very simple 3-word based answer, which is replacing human officers, no; high operational costs, no; reinforcing bias and reducing fairness using AI systems. So the author is focused on predictive policing, and where the author feels that we are using the data of yesterday, and this data may have a lot of racial biases, a lot of territorial biases, and predictive policing could be reduced to another method of tormenting the minorities. So this is the main concern here. Right? What would best justify the use of predictive policing? What would best justify? Nothing about arresting, but it could help depute police force and reduce the risk of violence. It cannot eliminate anything, it will not replace the need, but it will reduce. It will help us put police at the right spot. How does facial recognition potentially lead to injustice? It is given clearly in the passage that it can have errors, right? And that too in specific demographies. Option D is incorrect because it says all democracies is not, but specific demographies facial recognition does not work. (13, 14, and 15, again simple questions. AI algorithms pose a challenge. Why? Because they become opaque. They are using some method or algorithm. So unless you share what you have used, we can't correct it. So if I am using biased data to make the algorithm, how will I correct it? It will constantly keep giving me the wrong data. So this is also clearly given. Opaque, therefore, is asked as a word. Again, word-based questions. All these you had to know. What is the most essential to prevent AI systems from reinforcing existing social biases? Naturally, analyzing the data, right? And look at the options without reviewing, without this, all this straight away. Even if you have not read the passage, you are going to get these answers right. So in some questions, reading of the passage was also not important. A government proposes new AI-driven sentencing tool. So, this looks like a very long question. But it is again a central theme question, because all you have to do is that you have to say, we have to ensure that there is no biased data, right? So you say that. Again, the options are very easy to eliminate, which is option C. Which of the following assumptions, if true, would undermine the concerns? Undermine the concern, that means we have to weaken it, right? So the author's entire passage is based on data which is polluted with biases. If we say that AI is able to correct the data, then we are fair, and that means the AI system is foolproof. So that will be our answer. Passage 3 is on urban gardening, simple passage, and it is looking at, benefits of urban gardening, not just ecological benefits, but also benefits that are therapeutic. Right? So what is the urban heat island effect given in the first few lines? Very easily, urban areas have a temperature of have a higher temperature than surrounding areas. How can you combat it? You can combat it by, looking at putting your garden, and that garden will absorb the CO2. All right, which innovative method is given? So where they say that the advantages are definitely there, but there are certain problems also. However, urban gardening is not without its limitations, right, in the end. And one of the problems is soil. So this is what is given. It's got nothing to do with installation, or this is a good thing, we are able to collect rainwater, but the innovation is in working with the soil, right? #20th, why are urban residents motivated to cultivate their own food? So naturally, to obtain fresher, this thing that is clearly given over here, right? That's the primary motivation, but also it looks at their therapeutic well-being, but that comes in later once they start doing it. And ecological benefit clearly given as A. So very simple questions. All of these questions should be correct so far. Maybe you had a problem with that lone grammar question, but rest of them are easy to do. We had our grammar class which took care of the participles, participial phrase. All right, not identified as a challenge. Inadequate access to sunlight, space, and soil are given. Lack of organized communal support is not given. In fact, that's one of the benefits where you can even do cumulative gardening or community gardening. Symbolic reclamation of space and agency, again something that you should have gauged from the passage. So this is that one inference-based question, and that is gaining emotional and psychological. It is also pretty much given, right, where you say that it's got both benefits. And then we come back to our reasoning-based questions. What assumption underlies the author's argument in favor of community gardens? So that is, social cooperation enhances the benefit of gardening, right? Community gardening. So naturally, if you have space constraints, etc., if you have soil constraints, you can also together pool in resources and also build a bond. So one of the benefits is bond building, and the other is pooling in resources. Then we move to the last three questions here. According to the passage, what deeper motivation underlies this thing? So it's a repetition question. It's already asked, but it is asked again. Philosophical. Why is it philosophical? values of sustainability, choice, and connection, right? So all these are easy to eliminate answers. So 25B and 26D. And the last question, same question which we have already asked, innovation. One innovation that was asked was compost or enrichment of soil, and the other innovation is creative methods of hydroponics and using racks, using compost. So it is again a repetition question. Then we come to social media. Again, a topic that has come in 2 of your mocks at least. Simple questions for social media have been asked from question number 28. Let's look at these questions. According to the passage, what is the key difference between traditional and social media? So easy to eliminate options, children. Traditional media is based on facts. Social media is driven by emotion because you don't cross-check facts. You don't see the need to. What is not a consequence? So naturally, improvement in media literacy is basically a step or a correction that is needed, but unchecked information is spread of fear and manipulation of opinion and amplification of misinformation. It's not a consequence of that, but yes, checking facts or doing literacy could be a course of action that we take for the problematic social media. 30th, what is implied by the phrase traditional gatekeepers? Again, you could have checked the options and eliminated. More widely used, how does it matter? We have to give the implication. Have begun hiring editors? No. Traditional media is no longer the sole source of information. So traditional gatekeepers means those people who sieved information and gave it to you. So that is no longer others are also now bringing in information. Main idea question, what is the central theme of the passage? The central theme of the passage is the fact that while social media has allowed everyone to comment, the problem is the unchecked information, which is misinformation. Assertion reason, social media allows anyone to access, and traditional media platforms were exclusively available to trained journalists. Both are true, but one does not explain the other. Hence, the answer is option B. So 31C, 32B, 33 and 34. Which of the following approaches is identified in the passage as a constructive response? Integrating digital literacy, definitely. So this is the course of action question, right? Regulation has not been written, not relying on users. In fact, both government and other agencies want to educate the people. It is clearly given in the passage. 34, what illustrates the functioning of an echo chamber? The algorithm that allows you to see and use information that just collaborates with you, right? So that will be option C. Multiple discussions is opposite. Fact checking, opposite. Curating trending stories, no. Something that you align with, which is option C. All right, then this is the comparison passage. 3 people have stated 3 things here, but mostly around law and ethics. So Bingham has spoken about individual rights as the primary thing. Sandel has spoken about civic responsibility, and McBride has spoken about practice and reasoning. But they all have one thing in common, which is ethics and fairness. So this was the highlight of the three passages. One has spoken about individual rights, the other has spoken about civic responsibility, and the third has spoken about reasoning and practice, but they all have spoken about ethics. '35. According to Tom Bingham, the rule of law primarily serves to do what? It basically serves to ensure that the exercise of public power remains fair, transparent, right? So all these are opposites. You can easily eliminate them, even if you have passingly read the passage. From Sandal's argument, what will be inferred that he would most likely to do, say what? Limiting ethical debates? No, they all are for ethics. Opposing moral discussion? No. Enhance or encourage public reasoning, but at the same time, moral values are important, right? So all these are opposites. If you have read it only fleetingly also, you will get your answers. Hence the high cutoff. Arbitrary, so again you had to know this. There is no reason given for this. This line is the last line of Tom Bingham's essay. So now you have to know what arbitrary governance is, right? Which is just exerting your power without any consistency, rule, justification, or accountability. So again, you had to know, easy to know it, because it's not about a universally accepted thing or collective consensus. It's just random things that you keep doing. Assertion: McBride believes that studying law is not merely about acquiring knowledge of legal rules. He argues that true legal understanding requires both AR and ethical reflection. This AR problem is both A and R are true and R is the correct this thing of A. Read McBride and you will find that answer there. All right, what can be logically deduced? That all of them wanted to attach morality, right? Only when laws remain morally neutral, incorrect. Solely on codified statutes, incorrect. 40th, if McBride were to respond to Bingham, he would most likely argue that the cultivation of ethical reasoning in lawyers strengthens rather than weakens the law. That is correct. Read McBride. So reasoning is good, practice is good, but ethics, again, if you see, it's a repetition, right? Moral ideals should not interfere. No, legal predictability is always prevailing. No, it is irrelevant. No. McBride definitely believes that ethics make your law stronger. All right. What is combined? Again, the same thing, ethical responsibilities. The correct answer is A, easy to eliminate the rest. According to the passage, which thinker most directly I think it's a simple answer, because the others looked at law as a philosophical concept, except for McBride, who looked at law as a practice. So that was the difference. Hence, McBride would be your logical answer. And again, a repetition of question number 41. What represents the core common? The core common thing is that it is integration of justice, morality, and human reason, right? So where everything combines, not eliminates. So any option that eliminates one for the other would be incorrect here. And the final passage is a train journey encounter with a stranger, very much like the stranger passage that came in CLAT. You know, the stranger that ensnared, the stranger that was very, very, entertaining and at the same time insightful. Knowledge-based vocabulary questions. Vagabond means a person who does not have a home. That's your answer for 44. 45. Given simple answers, I feel we have to just focus on reading. So intermediate class is unpleasant because it is clearly given over here because of a budget deficit. You traveled in intermediate, there are no cushions, right? And the population is people who are rather loafers or natives, right? So we are looking at the British Raj train travel here. They do not patronize refreshment rooms. They carry their foods, they buy the sweets, and they drink roadside water, right? And that's why these people sometimes are, they fall sick. So intermediate class is unpleasant because there is no talking about ventilation or windows, because probably there is ventilation or windows. This is the fact that there are no cushions in the class and the population is either intermediate or loafers, right? So cushions and respectable company, these are the two things that have been given. So answer is B. 46th, he respects his courage and past life. Narrator's attitude toward the man he meets. Naturally, he does not think he's arrogant or wealth. We don't know whether he's wealthy. He just respects his courage and he feels that in the past life, it was less of adventure and more of survival that made for it. What does the narrator mean when he refers to the politics of loaferdom? Politics of loaferdom is stories, right? Not politics, not corruption, not policies, just stories, no knowledge. What does the phrase looked at his mouth and chin? So looked at his mouth and chin basically means the person was trying to assess his rank, upbringing, what kind of a person he was. Naturally, not facial features or cleanliness, but generally who was this guy, right? So the make of the mouth and chin could suggest whether he was royalty or whether he was well brought up, well bred. The narrator perceives the stranger as, again, a person, he feels that the person has found detachment. It is clearly given over here. He had the air of the man who had seen strange countries. He had bore himself without vanity. He had restlessness in his eyes that belonged to the person who lived without a purpose, but with the detached amusement of one who has played his part and has lost interest in the game. So a person who is content and has found the peace, right? And the last question on survival, his excitement was not an exaggeration, but something that showed his spirit and his courage. So 50th would be option B. So the key over here was being consistent with this reading section, not making errors, quick reading, cross-checking and marking your answers. Very few questions required you to actually go back and check the answer. So the ones that did, had you gone back and checked the answer, then you could have emerged with even full marks in this paper. So that is all from the English section of the paper. We hope you have a good day ahead, a good evening ahead, and we look forward to your scores. Do share your scores once they are out. Thank you so much.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the live analysis of the AILET 2026 paper. We are now going to discuss legal section, which is for the namesake this time, just 4 questions I could identify that would really belong to legal section or that would require legal reasoning. So yeah, normally the range of the questions in AILET for legal is 10 to 12 in total, but this time they've reduced it. But this can't be a set pattern, right? Don't take it as a set pattern, because next time they can increase the number of questions. They can maybe give it differently, right? So because they've done that in the past. Anyway, so the first question is 83. I have very simple question. It's talking about strict liability, which is thoroughly taught during our classes. Person who keeps engages with hazardous substances or activities liable for all the harm. Now, whether you have taken any precautions or not is not relevant, but there is an exception. This is the exception, and the answer has flown from the exception. It says, unless the harm was caused by an act of God, act of a third party, or consent of the victim. It's a very simple question. In the facts, if you look at the facts, this word has been given to confuse you only, that the factory is being lawfully operated. That does not matter. Nowhere in the principle it is mentioned that whether your industry is lawful or unlawful. That is not relevant. Secondly, they've also mentioned that she had complied with all safety requirements. Again, this is also not relevant. This is also not relevant. What is relevant is, one night a sudden lightning strike causes a fire and leading to the release of toxic fumes that harm nearby residents. So the reason behind the damage is basically act of God. The reason behind the damage is act of God, and act of God has been given as an exception to the liability. That means where the harm is being caused by act of God, you are not liable. Simple. So the answer has to be in negative, right? And then we find out. So let's first of all eliminate option B and D, because they are talking about yes, but we have to choose between A or C. Now A says that because the harm resulted was an act of God, it looks a decent option because it is giving you a decent reasoning. C option says that she had no, because she had taken all reasonable precautions. Now my point is, there might be some confusion. If you have got confused between A or C, let me tell you that option C mentions a statement or a factor which is not relevant at all. Whether you have taken reasonable precautions or not, that is not relevant. So option C is not correct. Option A in that case becomes the right answer. I hope I am clear on this. It's a very simple question. You must have done it very right and very easily. All right. Let's go to the next question. So majorly questions, all questions are from TOTS, as I could observe. Now in this paper, question number 112. Yes. So this is another question. As you can see, it's related to TOTS. So negligence, it's out of negligence, again a very simple topic of taught, important topic. Multiple times it has been taught and given in the exams. Now what is the fact here? So I think principle is very clear. There is nothing, no complexity in the principle. Just one thing, that if you are able to prove that there was something under the control of defendant, okay, that the thing that caused the harm was under the defendant's control. So all that you had to find out was whether something that has happened was under the control of defendant or not. If you are able to find that, you find the answer. Now she goes to the hospital, and in the hospital the ceiling fan has detached and it falls, now injuring her. So one simple question, that it was a hospital, right, and the ceiling fan was in the hospital. That means the thing that caused the harm, which is the ceiling fan, it was under the control of the hospital. Under the control of the hospital, that means hospital has to be liable, right? Applying only the given principle. That means no extra knowledge is required. So whether the hospital is liable or not, answer has to be in yes form, either B or D. Let's cut A and C. Now, see, in this question, you don't have to see whether reasonable care was taken or not, whether the whether due care was taken or not. All that is not relevant. You don't have to look at that part. Just strictly apply the principle. Okay. Now, so option B says that does not ordinarily fall without some negligence in its maintenance. Now, the problem is that the principle doesn't talk about maintenance, right? I told you the principle is silent about reasonable care, precaution, all of that. So we don't go that way. Option, but yeah, we can consider that still. And option B could probably be an answer. Option D says, but only if she can prove that the fan was installed more than 5 years ago. Now, this is an absolutely irrelevant fact. So I would say that both option B and D are not the best options, right? Neither B nor D is the best option. But if in that case, if we have all bad options, we choose the least bad option. And the least bad is B, because it's talking about 5 years, which is absolutely not relevant. So if at all, its answer could be B. It could have been solved like that. But again, a moderate question, I would say. Moderate question, I would say. Yeah. (146) is the next question. Let's look at it. Now, this also is related to torts. You can see a driver is responsible. It's about tort, negligent driving. Unless the pedestrian acted recklessly, that means if I am driving a vehicle, primarily the responsibility depends upon me, unless the pedestrian himself made a mistake, right? So that comes as an exception. Now you have to find the question that whether the pedestrian was at fault or not. And in this question, the pedestrian was clearly at fault, as you can see, that who suddenly runs across the road. So it clearly shows the negligence on the part of the pedestrian, and therefore, with the application of the exception, the driver will be absolved. Okay. Now, if you want to absolve the driver, obviously option A becomes wrong. Option D also becomes wrong. And for the same reason, even option C becomes wrong. Because in all these cases, driver is being made liable. Okay. But that's not the case. So in that situation, B for Bangalore would be the right answer, because it was the pedestrian's fault, and because of which the driver will be absolved, as given very simply, clearly in the principle itself. Right? All the three questions that we did so far were, I would say, at max, one of them was moderate, right? That too, because of choosing between the options, but otherwise, the level was very, very easy. Let's look at one more question, one last question that belongs to legal reasoning in real sense. This is question number 150. Now, this is a general principle. A public official must avoid conflict of interest. So this is basically coming from the rules of natural justice. This topic was covered thoroughly in our classes. Natural justice का एक rule होता है that where the judge of a proceeding feels that he may be biased towards a decision, right, or wherever he has a personal interest in that matter, then it is his obligation to recuse himself from that situation. He cannot become a part of that proceeding, right? Now, in this case, the city mayor awards a major construction contract to a company which is owned by her cousin. So this clearly shows possibility of bias. He could be biased. I am not saying he was actually biased or not. Actual bias is not relevant. If in this principle it is mentioned, even if no actual wrongdoing occurs, so there is no point of looking at the actuality or reality. It is entirely based on possibility. Okay, and if he wants to award a contract to a company which is owned by the cousin, clearly there is an element of biasness. right? Possibility is there. Maybe he's a very honest man. Maybe he doesn't do any favor to anybody, but there's a possibility. So on that basis, when the relationship was disclosed publicly, then what will happen? Then obviously he cannot proceed with that. He has to stay away from giving contract, or at least he cannot be involved in this matter. Now, if he cannot be involved in this matter, what should be the answer? Let's see. If the first one says that he should proceed, which is against what we have just understood. Then it says should be avoided, which makes sense, but we will not choose that as an answer. Let's see. Then cousin should sell the company. This is not relevant. Mayor should resign, not relevant. All options are pretty much straightforward and simple. And option B in that situation becomes the right answer, strictly based on the principle, and also because there is no other option which could potentially be true, right? So this was legal section, just four questions. All questions must have been right, but still giving the benefit of doubt. Let's say in one question there might be some confusion or something, so I would say that at least 3 out of 4 must be a minimum score in legal, and 4 out of 4 is also expected. Nothing, I mean, it's not a big deal to get all correct in legal. Thank you so much. With this, we will continue shortly after this. All the best. Thank you so much.
Hello guys, so we will be discussing the analytical reasoning questions for you guys from this particular portion. I am Nikhil, your mentor, and the AR part I'll take up. So the first AR question was this one. It was basically a number series based question. Where if you see 4 and 10 had a gap of 6, 10 and 18 had a gap of 8, 18 and 28 had a gap of 10. So 6, 8, 10, so obviously 12. So next will be a gap of 12. So 28 plus 12 will be 40. So C option becomes my answer. Correct? That was the first question for you on number series now. Okay? The next question, if you go forward, this is syllogism. That is Sajal sir will be taking with you guys. This is analogy. Again, Sajal sir will be taking this part. Analogy was analogy, and I would say mainly syllogism were around 20-25 questions were there. So most of the paper was that only. Yeah. So this was the next question on alphabet series, I would say, in which if you see C and then D is left, D E. So two of them were left: F G E, F G H, I J K L, and then M N O P Q. So if you see the pattern now, there are two patterns. One is about the number. That means one of the alphabet was here, and then two of them were supposed to be skipped, and then three of the alphabets were supposed to be taken, and then 4 of the alphabets were supposed to be skipped. So, and then 5 of the alphabets were supposed to be taken. So the next 6 alphabets I will have to skip. So after Q, PQ, R, S, T, U, V, and W. So these are the 6 alphabets which are supposed to be skipped, and the next ones are supposed to be taken. So after W, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, I'll go for, because 7 of them I have to write. Okay, so it was a pattern of writing 1 alphabet, 3 alphabet, 5 alphabet, 7 alphabet, and skipping the 2, 4, 6, and so on. This was the pattern, and if you see, option number C was the answer. So even though questions were of coding decoding, but we have done a lot higher level of questions. You must be very sure about the level of questions that we did and the level of questions that came were not at all at par. So I guess the AR part, if you have attempted it, any particular question, you will be able to get the answer for sure, because it was very easy. The next question. Okay, so these were the next question now, 104. So 4, and then there is a gap of 5, and then 9, then there is a gap of plus ka 10, then 19 to 34, there's a gap of 15, 34 to 54, there's a gap of 20, and then there is a gap of 25. Okay, so 54 plus 25 will be how much? 5 plus 4 is 9, 5 plus 2 is 7, so 79 becomes my answer. Simple as that, right? So you will be able to solve this question for sure. Now 3 and 5 had a gap of 2, 5 and 9 had a gap of 4, 9 and 16 had a gap of 8, 17 and 33 will be having a gap of 16. So what is the pattern, guys? 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4. So next will be 2 to the power of 5, which is 32, will be getting added to it. That will give me the answer of 65. So 65 is D option, and that will be my answer. Okay. So these are again the next few questions which were of AR. Now this one, 107, is again not my part. Yeah. So we have the next series. So A, 2. So A is 1, C is 3, F is 6, J is 10. Okay, so if you see the pattern of the positional values of the alphabet, so it will be a plus ka 2, a plus ka 3, a plus ka 4, and the next will be a plus ka 5. So I am supposed to write the 15th value, E, J, O. So O will be coming out here, and then what is the pattern here? So 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 8 is 20. So 4, 6, 8, and then plus ka 10. So 20 plus 10, 30. So O30 becomes my answer. Okay. Now, this is again about syllogism, so we will skip that part. So this was alphanumeric portion, or basically you can call it alphabet series only. So 111 was done. 112, 113, 114, 115, 116. Yeah, 117 was the next question, which was looking like a legal question, but it was purely a question on arrangements, or actually I should say sequencing, right? So this particular university examination department is attempting to devise a schedule for the end term examination. The subjects are constitutional law, taxations, regulatory governance, this and this. The following consideration must be kept in mind. RG must follow criminal law. So criminal law should come, and then not just after that, immediately follow bolta to immediately just after that hota. Criminal law must follow, sorry, RG must follow criminal law. So after criminal law, regulatory governance must come. कितने उसके बीच में कितने का गैप भी हो सकता है. Socio and criminal law cannot be immediately precede or follow each other. So socio and criminal law and socio, this is not possible. This is not possible. Okay? regulatory governance must immediately precede taxation. तो taxation के just पहले RG होना ही होना चाहिए. ठीक है guys? Constitutional law cannot be the first or the last exam. ठीक है? So if there are 5 of them, consti cannot come here or here. Okay, so these are the rules, and examination for all the subjects are held only once. Correct. So now let's see the options, and based on the option we will be able to answer this. Correct. So let's see all the 5 options. So which of the rule are being violated? Let's search for that. Socio and criminal are coming together, right? That is not allowed, so this cannot be the answer. Constitutional law cannot come in the starting. So constitutional law cannot be coming in the starting or end, so that cannot be the answer. Okay, and if you see the D option, criminal law, constitutional law, so constitutional law is not coming in the starting, that is taken care of. Socio and criminal law are not together, that is also okay. RG के just बाद में taxation, RG के just बाद में taxation होना चाहिए. यहाँ पे taxation is coming out to be earlier, so that cannot be the answer. So the answer will be C, and you can check it out. All the rules are being taken care of. Criminal law के बाद में regulatory governance, yes, criminal law के बाद में regulatory governance is coming. Rule number 1. Socio and criminal law are very far away. ठीक है, उनके बीच में consti है, इसलिए consti is not coming in the first or the last, middle में कहीं ना नहीं आ रहा है. और RG के just बाद में taxation, RG के just बाद में taxation, so C option becomes my answer. Okay, so these were sequencing question. बहुत अच्छे level of question हम लोग ने करे आपके साथ. तो ये तो बच्चों वाला question हो गया था, right? So this was again a question, syllogism. Yeah. So these were the next two questions which we are supposed to do with you guys. So the question is, okay, so B2. So if you see here, B is the second position, D is the fourth, G is the seventh, K is the 11th, and whatever is the positional value उसके बाजू में वही नंबर लिखा भी है. ठीक है. So basically हमें यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं करना है. यहाँ पे 2 plus 2 4, 4 plus 3 7, 7 plus 4 11, and 11 plus 5 will be 16. And what is the 16th positional value? P. So P16 will become my answer to this particular question. Okay. This was, I guess, the only good question. No, there were two good questions. This is one of them. जहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा सा तो कुछ करना था. Otherwise, the others were very simple questions. G, V, D, I. What is the position value? This is 23. This is O is EJO, 15. P, Q, R. So this is 18. This is 4. This is 7. This is 22. This is 4. This is 9. Okay. So if you see here, what was the pattern being formed in question number 127? Yeah. So it was minus. If you see here, what is the pattern? So it was minus ka 16 and then plus ka 7. The next one was minus ka 14 and then there was a plus ka 5. Okay. So this is the pattern being followed, correct? Now, tween is the question. So PQ. So this is 17. UV. So this is 21. E is 5 and 5. N is 14. Okay. So minus ka 16 if I'll do, I'll get a A. And then plus ka 5 when I'll do, I'm supposed to get 26, which will be plus ka 7 I'll do. Sorry. Plus ka 7 I'll do. So that will be 28. And what do we mean by 28th position, guys? So A to Z are 26 positions. So 27th will be A and 28th will be B. So it will be B here. The next one will be minus 14. Now 5 minus 14, how will you do? So instead of 5, you will add 26 to it. So that will become 31 now. So 31 minus 14 you can do, that will be 17th position. And what is the 17th position? PQ. Okay. And then again, you will have to add a plus 5 to it. So that will be a 10th position. So EJ. Okay. And then minus 16 minus 14. So the next one will be minus ka 12. So that will be again 2, which is B. So A, B, Q, JB. A, B, Q, JB is the B option, guys. Okay. So this was the first good question, I would say. Every other question was very simple to solve. यहाँ पे फिर भी कुछ pattern था जो आपको सोचना था. Correct? So okay, so the next pattern was the 131st question for you. Now, if you see the numbers 1, 4, 9, 16. Okay, so 1, 4, 9, 16 means these are squares. 1 ka square, 2 ka square, 3 ka square, 4 ka square. So next one will be 5 ka square. So that will be 25. So 25 will be the number that is coming in the middle. Okay, what is the logic for the position values? So if you see here A, B, then C is skipped. D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L is skipped. So if you see here in the first one alphabet was skipped. In the second one, 2 alphabets were skipped. The third one, 3 alphabets were skipped. So in the next one, obviously, so 1, 2, 3. So the next one will be 4. So 4 alphabets will be skipped after N. So M, N, O, P, Q, and R. So R ke baad S, S ke baad T. So S25T. This is not I, guys. This is S25T will be A option for this particular question. Okay. So this was the 131st question now. This was again syllogism. This was I was telling you, there were 2 good questions in the whole set. This was the second good question. Okay. So let's try to solve it now. So it is talking about light being coded as NKKFR. Okay. So cloud will be coded as what? So now let's check out the position values, guys. So L was 12, I is 9, G is 7, H is 8, T is 20, this is 14, this is 11, 11, 6, and PQR. So 18. Okay. If you see here, what is happening here? Plus ka 2, plus ka 2, next is plus ka 4, next is minus ka 2, and the next one is minus ka 2. So middle one was plus ka 4. Before that, there were 2 plus 2s, and after that, there were 2 minus 2s. That's the only logic, right? Because there's no other pattern which we can find out. So this will be C is third. This is 12. EJO, so this is 15. UV, so this is 21. This is 4. So just do plus ka 2, so you'll get a 5. Plus ka 2, so you'll get a 14. Then do 15 plus 4, that will be 19. 21 minus ka 2, you'll get 19 again. And then 4 minus 2, you'll get 2. So 2 is B, E, N. And what is the 19th one? So what is the 19th one? Even if you just see the options, so ENSSA. Yeah, ENSSB. ENSSB will be your answer to this particular one. Okay, so that will be SSB, guys. Correct? So this was the logic. Now let's try to solve the 134th one. If you see here, B, let me just erase this part so that it becomes easy for you to concentrate on the solution. So yeah, the questions were B, which is the second position, E is the 5th position, I is the 9th position, this is the 14th position, correct? And what are the numbers? 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4. So next will be 2 to the power of 5. We'll have a 32 here. And how many options are having 32? There are 2 options, इसलिए मेरे को करना पड़ेगा. अगर एक ही option होता जहाँ पे 32 होता तो मैं करता भी. ठीक है? So what are the position values? Plus ka 3, plus ka 4, and then plus ka 5. The next one will be plus ka 3, 4, 5, 6. It will be 20th position is what I am looking for. and EJOT. So T32 will become my answer. T32 is C option, and that will be your answer. Correct? Okay. So let's move forward then. Achha, this one is also a question. Let me do here only. The numbers in the series 3, 9, 27, 81, 243 will be your answer. So what did I teach you guys? आपको 2 की पावर 1 से लेकर 2 की पावर 10 तक की पोजिशनल वैल्यूज पावर्स आपको फिंगर टिप्स में होनी चाहिए. 3 की पावर 1 से लेकर 3 की पावर 6 तक होना चाहिए. 5 की पावर 1 से लेकर 5 की पावर 5 तक होना चाहिए. This one was a pattern of 3 की पावर only. 3 की पावर 1, 3 की पावर 2 is 9, 3 की पावर 3 is 27, 3 की पावर 4 is 81, 3 की पावर 5 is 243, 3 की पावर 6 was 729. अगर वही पूछता तो. So the answer to this particular question was 81, which was the C option, guys. Okay. So this was 136 question for you. Now the next one will be syllogism. Yeah. So this was the only question on blood relations that came, or arrangements you can call it. So let's solve this as well. A is the father of B. So A is the father. A must have got married to someone, and he is the father of B. Okay. B's gender we do not know as of now. C is the son of A. So C is supposed to be the son of A. That means B and C will become the siblings. Okay. D is the brother of E. अभी D और E के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं पता, तो इसलिए अभी हम इस सेंटेंस को बाद में लिख लेते हैं. E is the daughter of B. E is supposed to be the daughter of B. So B must have got married to someone and have a daughter, E. E is the daughter of B. And D is the brother of E. If D is the brother of E, that means D and E are the siblings here. Okay. So the question is, how is C rated to D? So what is the rule that I taught you guys? That after rated 2, जो नाउन आता है, हम उससे पूछते हैं कि वो फर्स्ट पर्सन को क्या बुलाएगा. हम डी से पूछेंगे कि वो सी को क्या बुलाएगा. तो हमने डी से पूछा कि वो अपने मदर या फादर, अपने पेरेंट के भाई को क्या बुलाएगा. तो पेरेंट के भाई को अंकल बुलाएगा. ठीक है. करेक्ट. चाचा या मामा हम नहीं बता सकते क्योंकि हमें बी का जेंडर नहीं पता. ठीक है. बट अगेन हिंदी का क्वेश्चन तो है नहीं, इसलिए अंकल इज मोर देन सफिशिएंट फॉर यू टू आंसर. करेक्ट. सो दिस वाज द 140th क्वेश्चन. नाउ 141, 142, 143, 144 is not, it is all syllogism. 145, 146, 147, 148, 149 again is analogy. So yeah, so that was the whole paper, guys. Analytical reasoning के इतने ही questions थे, and that is a solution of the every particular question that you are supposed to take for you. Correct? So I hope according to me, analytical reasoning के सारे ही questions are very doable. One or two question if you were not able to do makes sense, but apart from that, every question was doable. So around 10 to 11 questions should be the cutoff as far as analytical reasoning is concerned. Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, hi everyone. So we had the AILET paper, and now we are going to be doing a GK analysis. First thing first, the GK was little on the tougher side because there were a few questions on state, and there were few random questions. So therefore, we feel that a good score in the GK section would be 18 plus, and anybody who has scored above about 20 or 21, that's a very good score in the GK section. Quickly coming on to the analysis, there were a couple of questions from the sports, right? The first one being the Indian Premier League, and I'm sure most of you, and especially the cricket fans, would have got this right. So this is the first time that Royal Challengers Bangalore has won it, right? And I mean, IPL, the static information is that 2008 it started, and both CSK and Mumbai Indians have won 5 each, and this is the first time, right? And we also know the incident that happened in Bangalore at the stadium when so many people died when Virat Kohli and his team were going. So I mean, this was in the news, so this was an easy question, right? Coming to the second one, you see in Delhi there is a mayhem, right? As far as the AQI is concerned. Therefore, this question was a pretty important question and a good question that they asked. If you look at the graded response action plan, right? This was implemented. Which year was this, Ananya?
In 2017.
2017, and it is 4 graded response that we are looking at here. Okay.
And it is naturally because it is for controlling air pollution. So naturally it will be under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And they have 4 different levels. So the first one is basically for the poor one. Then you move ahead with very poor, poor ranging from 201 to 300, very poor 300 to 400, severe the third one 400 to 450, and then we have severe plus with 450 category.
Plus,
so if you were quite thorough with your newspapers, this was too much in the news. Okay, they did keep on mentioning the graded response action plan continuously, and it was a fairly simple one. They were only asking you the full form.
Yeah. So the last 1.5 months, this has been in news. So this was a good question. And let's come to the third one. Now, this is a one-liner question because Sikkim has been the first state to have the organic farming, and now it's come to organic fisheries, right? So the answer is Soreng, Sikkim.
Soreng, Sikkim. And one more thing, that with this question, it was actually pretty obvious that there is only one state which has been recognized internationally also as an organic state, and Sikkim was India's first organic state. So you could connect it from there, that from Sikkim and from the options also, if you will see, so Telangana, Maharashtra, West Bengal can probably never be the first states or to have something organic in nature, because these are still struggling. So mostly the northeastern states and your Himalayan states, they are the states which actually move more towards pollution free, etc. So it was a very general option, that Soreng, Sikkim. All right, then the next one, the N Proud initiative. This was a difficult question. This was not an easy one, and actually they got into the state news too much this time. So that is also a little, moving away from their general trends and patterns. So N Proud, you either knew it or you did not know it. So the correct answer to this was Kerala, and N Proud is an abbreviation, and the full form basically states New Program for Removal of Unused Drugs. All right, and it was launched this year only in February 2025.
So this we would put up as a tough question, but this was in news. If you've been watching the monthly videos, you could have tracked this. But this is again state news, so we would put that in the difficult category, right? Coming to Mahakumbh, right? Kumbh Mela, and that is the debut that UP was representing, and it got the first prize. And when we did this Republic Day event, and we had spoken about this. So we did this, we do every year. January current affairs, this was covered. And this is how they covered, Mahakumbh also in a way. So Kumbh Mela, which was the tableau of Uttar Pradesh, got the first prize. Okay. Now coming to the next one. Yeah. From Sagar to Mahasagar.
Now this was a question which was taken up very recently by us, We took it up on the YouTube live session also, the defense session. Then we also did the YouTube live in the top 25. So we also took this up there. And plus it was otherwise also mentioned in the top 5 in 2025 list that was provided to you. So this was also a very easy one, not a difficult one, that only asked you the full form of it. All right. The origins of it, 2015, the Prime Minister launched Sagar, which was security and growth for all in the region. And 10 years after that, from Mauritius, he just expanded the scope of the Sagar initiative. The Sagar initiative initially was only for the Indian Ocean region. And this particular initiative, which is a greater aspect of Sagar, naturally abbreviated as Mahasagar, and under this, it seeks to provide holistic development of all the global South countries. Okay. So the full form being mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions being the Indo-Pacific, Latin America, South African countries, South American countries, etc.
Again from the state. And this maybe you could have got it just by looking at the options. I don't know how many of you did that, but Sana Lamok sounds more like a northeastern thing, and that's how I did this question. So this is how you do you get Manipur right, and if you get B1, that's the only option that you have here, right?
Okay. The others, see, one more thing that I keep on asking.
And this is and those of you from UP or Bihar would know about Sohar, because this is basically a celebration in the lines of Janmashtami when a child is born.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For this also, like I keep on asking you all to please be very thorough with your NCERT, specifically the history, geography, and art and culture NCERT. So this is mentioned in the art and culture NCERT of class 12. So you can find this there, and they are sticking to the pattern of asking you such questions from the NCERTs only. All right. So NCERTs is always your crux. Okay. So for this, Sohar is from UP, which is sung during marriages also, during the birth of a child. Sana Lamok is from Manipur. Laman is from Himachal Pradesh, and it can also be loosely understood as Lavan, which again translates to marriages. Okay. And Povada is from Maharashtra. It is basically a heroic ballads that are sung praising Shivaji. Okay. All right. Then moving to the next question.
All right, keeping with the pattern of AILET asking you random theories or experiments, this has been something we've seen in recent years as well. So this year they asked about the Stanford prison experiment. So just to start off with the answer is option B, the Stanford prison experiment. So basically they mentioned the basic details here. It was done by Philip Zimbardo at Stanford University, and the year is 1971 in the month of August. Okay, so this was supposed to be a slightly long-term study. What they did is they paid a bunch of male students to serve as participants or volunteers in this study, and they assigned them different roles. Some were assigned to be guards or equivalent of police officers. Some were assigned to be prisoners, and they let the situation play out in a controlled environment where both these sets of participants had discretion in terms of what they would do. Okay, and essentially the experiment was ended early because the students who were volunteering as guards ended up abusing the students who were volunteering as prisoners. Okay, so due to ethical problems, it was ended early. This is a very famous experiment. Those of you who would have studied psychology in class 11th and 12th would have read about this very famous experiment about what happens when people are placed in positions of power over others. Okay, so the answer to this is the Stanford prison experiment. Okay, let's now come on to the next question. So one of those core basics about the Bharat Ratna, we've discussed it numerous times. So India's highest civilian honor, and you had been asked which of these is not a Bharat Ratna awardee. Okay, so Narasimha Rao, former Prime Minister, L.K. Advani, former Deputy Prime Minister. L.K. Advani you would have heard of because he is in that set of 5 people who were awarded this Bharat Ratna last. Okay, so last 5 people were awarded for the same year breaking the rules that only three will get it. Okay, so you could have known this. PV Narasimha Rao, former PM, also received the Bharat Ratna. Bhupen Hazarika from Assam, this also happened in the last
1 or 2 years only. I think
last few
23.
years, yeah. Okay, so here it is Ratan Tata. You might have seen the news that after his death, many people were demanding that he should get a Bharat. Okay, but it was never conferred, at least as of date. Okay, so this question, the answer is option D. Ratan Naval Tata is not a Bharat Ratna award.
Then coming to the next one, International Women's Day. Now, this was naturally, they do ask you questions on important days. So this was also an anticipated one only, that you would get a question on any of the respective days. So what they chose to ask you was the International Women's Day, which is on 8th of March. All right.
So I hope you didn't confuse it. National Women's Day is separate on the birth anniversary of Sarojini Naidu, right?
And
that's the 13th of
February. So the options were a little confusing, but I guess the girls are pretty excited to celebrate this. So you must be able to deduce 8th of March. Okay. Then we have the national. Achha, one more thing that till now you must have noticed that they've asked you questions from everything that was happening in the current aspects only, even if they were respective to static information. So if you look at that music question also, so Manipur was in news, then Himachal Pradesh was in news. So because of the 13th Biosphere Reserve, Maharashtra was in news because of 44th UNESCO World Heritage Site. One UP was not in news so much. And also, and UP was in news for Mahakumbh. So all of these states were in news, and that is why they've gotten into the state, right? So related to that, now this particular question also very relevant this year, because this year is UN recognized International Year of Quantum Computing. So you could relate it to this particular bit, and also we undertook the Semicon this year. We had our own Vikram processor. So this could have been one of those questions, all right? So although not a very easy one, you had to read too much into detail into the National Quantum Mission, but this is actually the first one that the government has launched and has aligned a good 8,000 crores of rupees into this. So that way it is important. So the 4 thematic hubs have been IISc Bangalore, IIT Madras, Bombay and Delhi, all right? The other options also did not seem as good as this one. So you could have deduced it that way also a little bit, that if it comes to technology, IISc Bangalore actually stands apart from the others. Okay.
So this was a tough one.
Yes.
Though. This is certainly one of those tough questions. You would have realized, sir just told you our expected sort of good score, and we've kept it somewhat low comparatively. And the reason for that, of course, is that there were a bunch of these questions, right? 8 or 9 questions, which were very, very granular. If you had come across this information, you would have been able to answer. Otherwise, they would have qualified as moderately difficult to very difficult. Okay? All right.
All right. Now, this was also not an easy one, because International India Film Awards is fine. But when you go into digital awards, so naturally they are getting into a little more in detail than you generally anticipate. Okay. But then Patal Lok, Bandish Bandits, Kota Factory do not seem to be as famous series as much as Panchayat. I'm sure everybody is well aware of Panchayat and the entire locky that they carry. So that is one thing from which you could have deduced ki haan, theek hai, thoda famous hai, so maybe this was the correct answer. But other than that, a difficult question, not an easy one, given the digital awards that they've asked you. Okay. All right. Then the next one, late 2024, Google announced development of state-of-the-art quantum chip. Now again, quantum, why UN International Year of Quantum Computing? Okay. So that makes the question relevant.
So this year, in fact, I think more than 8 or so questions were from the science and technology sphere. Even historically, AILET has been known for having some emphasis on science and technology questions. And as ma'am said, the real linkage of all of these questions about quantum science is 2025 as the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. Okay, so that is absolutely key. And linked to that, various initiatives were undertaken in the country. And that's how we come to these particular questions. Okay, so this was Google's announcement in late 2024, and the answer here will be below. All right, now this railways question, this was a big one. You had to match what these railways initiatives were. Now, on first look, a very difficult question, but we would classify this question as extremely easy. But I will concede that it may have been tough for people living in some parts of the country, because all of these words are sort of Sanskrit and Hindi origin words. Okay, so a slight advantage you may have had if you were basically aware of Hindi, Hindustani, Sanskrit words. Okay, easiest was the word amanat and the word matre shakti. Okay, so amanat basically means possession or belonging, and so it was easy to link A with 3. And in fact, if you just did this, you would have had the answer. But let's match one more, matre shakti, to do with mothers. Okay, so point 4 links with B, lady RPF personnel assisting pregnant women who deliver on trains. Okay, so if we have A3 and B4, you can easily get the answer. Actually, even if you did one of these, you would have known the answer. Okay, so it was a derivable question. So you can see A3, there was only 1, and even B4, there was only 1. Okay, so B for Bombay in this set, B for Bombay. Okay, so let's okay.
Did you do it?
Yeah, let's just go up. So Uplabd, can we go up? Uplabd is I, regular drives conducted against touts, and Dusra is acting against the menace of hawking and vending. Okay, Matra Shakti is about delivery of pregnant women. Amanat is about left behind possession. Okay, so that's how this question was eminently solvable just by applying sort of basic language skills. Okay, at least if you were familiar with Hindi, Hindustani, Sanskrit. Okay, all right.
All right. Then the next one was basically on We Rise. So this particular initiative was mostly to help women entrepreneurs in India to scale their business within the country, outside the country, at the global level, etc. So again, not an easy one. You had to know that what We Rise meant, and only then could you take this. All right. But and actually not an easy one at all. You couldn't, because all of them were related to women only, and you either knew it or you did not know it. Okay, all right, then coming to the next question, which is on, yes,
If you look at this question, we have done the Grand Slam tournaments multiple times, and this was covered in your magazine also. We have covered this in class. So Iga Swiatek became the first person first Polish woman to win the Wimbledon, and she won it, meaning so handsomely. I mean, she defeated Anisimova 6-0, 6-0. So I mean, that's the reason we should remember, because first Polish woman winning, and Wimbledon, as you know, is the oldest Grand Slam. It started in the year 1877. Now, this comes from my state. I mean, Madhubani is the art form of Bihar, and that's why, I mean, you should generally know about the important paintings. So Madhubani is quite important.
and also again you can relate it to the current affairs also, that we had Bihar elections this year, and this year the central government had also launched Makhana board from Mithilanchal region. It is that same Mithilanchal region where Madhubani art form actually, it was incepted basically. So, and also Chhat was in news, and plus the government is standing because of Bihar right now, one of the alliances. So that is why Bihar is important. Okay. Then the next one, Ministry of Defense has decided to observe 2025 as the year of reforms, and this was, I think, post Operation Sindoor. And a very obvious question, we have taken it up also for you all on the YouTube as well as in our regular classes. So this was actually undertaken after that entire, difficulty that the Indian Armed Forces had faced because of the drone attacks and everything. So that is why it is into a technologically advanced combat ready force capable of multi-domain integrated operations. So that is why year of reforms has been outlined by Ministry of Defense as 2025.
Okay, now I just want to tell you here, suppose, I mean, this you should have known, but suppose you did not know this, you could have still eliminated two options here. One is the ex-servicemen thing, right? And the other one is the tri-services thing, because there is already a tri-service head in India. So, I mean, this is already going on, plus they're setting up a tri-command in Andaman and Nicobar, right? So this was pretty obvious, and the ex-servicemen demands were met, the OROP thing. So you could have eliminated B and C, right? Now Tejas, for instance, is a completely self-reliant thing. So I mean, D is definitely a better option than A. So let's say you do not know it. Here we are talking about technological advancement to be combat ready. So anyways, this was a better option. A lot of times it happens that you might not be able to strike it, but just by looking at the options, you could have still eliminated this. But this was very much in news, right? The year of reforms for defense. Yeah, coming to the next one, again a state news.
And this is also again not easy. Okay, it is not easy because you had two states that were given, which were from Northeast. Even if you could do it, that the names resembles too much with the Northeastern India. But then again, we had to, and you can also consider Jharkhand. Jharkhand was also a probable answer for this question if you did not know it. So the correct answer to this is Sikkim, but then again, a very difficult one. You either knew it or you did not. Okay, all right. Then coming to this particular question, a very easy one. And
so they had something from the Nobel Prize
yes.
this time, and her campaign against the dictator of Venezuela, right, Nicolas Maduro, right, and she also got the Sakharov Prize last year. So Nobel Prize for this year was Maria
if
Corina
you could relate it to
Machado.
Venezuela, so you had only one option,
Yes.
that was for Venezuela. The others were absolutely irrelevant for this question. Okay.
State
now,
news again.
Yes.
Literary awards.
Then again, a little bit, you could deduce from Kerala and Tamil Nadu and these two options. Okay. So this particular option, Ezu Thachan, can very easily be understood to be from Kerala, and because of
No, this one.
Ezhavas. Ezhavas are a tribe in Kerala, and it was for the upliftment of Ezhavas that we had Periyar. Okay, so a lot of you kept on asking me also, ma'am, is Periyar important for us this year, etc., etc. So Periyar se relate karke, Ezhavas tribe ke liye he was it's not a tribe but a community. So from that you could deduce it, and then another option related to South India was Thiruvarur. So that way, these two, if you could deduce, so you could very easily get your answer as
So Tamil Nadu would be
is B.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is option B is your correct one. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So the proceedings against Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel, I mean the prosecution that happened, initiative kiska tha? Ye South Africa ka initiative tha. And that is the reason ICC, started the proceedings, right?
And then, of course, a very detailed session, and a session that you people kept on asking us to please end. And this is one of the last slides in that session. So it was covered there in South Africa, it was South Africa versus Israel as the case. Okay, so C is your correct answer. Then this one again, very relevant because of Operation Sindoor that was going on. And we had these two beautiful women who were giving the entire briefings to the news channels and everywhere. So the correct answer was Yomika Singh and Colonel Sophia Qureshi. Okay, this was also a pretty important event that took place this year, and she was the first woman prime minister, and this has also been covered by us and also in one of the lists that we had provided to her. It was Sanna Takaichi.
Remember, we had said this, that remember this from the currency of Taka. Taka is a currency,
Yes.
so Takachi comes from theirs. Okay. The next one. Yeah.
Okay, again, not an easy one. This was not an easy question.
A difficult one.
It was a very difficult question, and if you people left the question, a very good choice that you all left the question. But in case you attempted the question, the correct answer for this was Christian Medical College, Vellore. Okay.
So we have done this when the Delhi elections happened, and we had spoken about the first woman chief minister, and that was UP 63 to 67, Suchita Kriplani. Right? We had done Sarojini Naidu as the first governor of the United Provinces and the first female chief minister. Right? Okay. Now coming to again state news now. Yeah.
All right. Then this one. This particular question was again directly from the NCRTs, all right? It is, I think, the class 9th NCRT where you have this entire map given. And on that map, these tribes are mentioned with respect to the states where they are found. So Gaddi, you have a specific chapter also in the NCRT where they are actually showing you Gaddi Bakarwals as two tribes who are transhumans tribes. Transhumans meaning that they keep on changing their place of stay. During summers, they are atop the mountain slopes, and during winters they come down. Okay, so that way Gaddi is in Himachal Pradesh, and if you could reduce this one,
there is only one option.
So say you could reduce all the others. All right. If some of you knew Riang also, so Riang was also an easy one to match.
Difficult one again.
Yes, a pretty difficult one. Again, a good choice if you all left the question. Okay. So for this, the correct answer is option D. All right. Then we have question number 79, and this is also given to mocks also that we had given to you this year, and also we have covered it in the Israel-Palestine session. So the correct answer to this is Japan. France, Canada, Australia, Italy, all these countries, they have given recognition to Palestine this very year. And then the last one, again, we did mention about this in our top 5 in 2025 list. You could have gone through there, and ironically, this entire summit is Global AI Summit and everything related to AI. But one of the chakras is not AI governance and regulation. So again, this is a tricky one if you were trying to eliminate.
So we had covered the Paris AI Summit, and then we had mentioned about that the next summit is going to be in India. So we build up from there, and this was a difficult one though. Those who got it right, great. The answer to this is B.
It was not an easy one, and like the last time that I did, I just want to show you the various sources from which these questions have been asked and how we've covered it. Okay, so this was a pretty straightforward one where the Nobel Peace Prize was given to Maria Corina Machado, and she led this entire Venezuelan opposition movement against the dictatorship. Then again covered in the YouTube also by Aditya sir. So here also we've done it directly. Then the next one is the miscellaneous, and this was during the defense session that we had undertaken. So here we have made a mention that 2025 has been declared as the year of reforms by the Ministry of Defense, and I also gave you a good insight into what this actually means in the video. So I can do it from there. Then coming to the next one, we have terminologies where Mahasagar, the full form has been provided to you on YouTube itself. So this was a direct question from here. Then coming to the next one, yes, the question on who won the best tableau. So again, this has been mentioned in one of our slides in January current affairs session. So again, a direct question from one of our classes. Then a direct, not a direct one, but an indirect one where I had asked a question on why do we celebrate National Women's Day? But I have mentioned it as a statement here that International Women's Day is celebrated on 8th of March. All right. Then we had this one list, which is top 5 in 2025. So we had mentioned everything that you had to look into. All right. So the first topic that I'm showing you here is first female Prime Minister of Japan. This was an appointment this year. So you could go through here. Then obviously we had the Nobel prizes being mentioned. Peace is one of them. The national days, international days, we have Women's Day. Then AI news, we mentioned specifically to look into AI Impact Summit 2026. The 7 chakras, one of them nahi hai, jo mention kar diya gaya hai. Then conflicts and wars, Operation Sindoor very clearly mentioned, and when you get into Operation Sindoor, naturally Colonel Sophia and Colonel Sophia and Bhumika cannot be forgotten. I forgot them, but okay. So Israel Palestine clearly mentioned, the detailed session. Genocide also something that you had to look in, but we did look into it for you and we provided it to you in one of the classes, Mahasagar policy, because this policy was undertaken this year only. It was announced this year by the Prime Minister during his visit to Mauritius. Then genocide, its entire inception till the case has been covered in detail here. Very clearly, you all can see South Africa versus Israel. Okay. Then state of Palestine, here we've mentioned all the places who have given recognition to them. Amongst the G7, France was the first one. And you all can see that Japan is not mentioned as one of the countries. Okay. Then from the June magazine, this particular question, the very first question in the AILET exam was on the Royal Challengers winning it. And then it was a much celebrated event also. A lot of Virat Kohli fans had gone berserk over celebrations. Then from the GK Perfect magazine, the Wimbledon 2025, it was a good solid 1.5 page article that we had given with the direct question that has been asked in your exam. All right. I think that is it. Yes, that is it, because obviously the session had to be taken very quickly. You just given the exam, so that is all that we could manage to bring out from our various mocks and the various sources and PDFs and content and everything that we had given to you. All right. So that was AILET from CLAT Possible, making AILET possible here.
So that's the analysis for the GK section, a relatively small one. As usual, there are surprises in these exams. There was no CR in CLAT. There was almost all CR in AILET. Very little legal reasoning in AILET. A lot of legal reasoning in CLAT. GK was relatively easier in CLAT, right? Comparatively, AILET GK was quite tough. In fact, that's why we are saying a good score is around 18 to 20 or 21. Okay. So I hope all of these answers are clear to you. If you have any doubts, of course, reach out to us. And now I think to cap off the session, we have Sajal sir to discuss the reasoning section of the exam. I'll request Sajal sir to please take over. He'll now join you on the screen. Thank you for joining in, and see you all soon in the next few days. Bye-bye.
Good evening, everyone. So we are on to the last of the sections, last but definitely not the least. In fact, some people are calling it the maximum section. We have had a lot many CR questions in this particular edition, but the paper was still on expected lines because over the past 4-5 years, we have seen AILET asking a lot of CR questions in various forms. And again, typically AILET a lot many syllogism questions. Many of them were easy, and a lot of assumption questions, and strength and weaken questions, inference questions. But thankfully, we didn't have the strong weak argument questions, which tend to be very subjective. I found some questions to be in the gray, to be honest. Starting with the first one itself, right? So we'll start solving this, and before that, I'll just like to sort of reiterate that the last two sessions that we did right before AILET, one was focused on deductive logic, syllogism, and conditional. The other was focused on assumption, strong weak argument, and others. In those two sessions, whatever we had covered, almost everything had come from what we discussed in those two sessions, all concepts that we discussed. Right now, let's start solving then, starting from question number 81. So the city's new bike sharing program has been widely adopted, reducing traffic congestion and just yes, traffic congestion and promoting healthy lifestyles. Now, which of the following is a necessary assumption, right? So this part where it says promoting healthy lifestyles, right? This is rather vague. What it immediately how it immediately makes sense is healthy lifestyle would mean because you are bike sharing or ride sharing, then it would have some positive impact on the pollution levels, right? And we do have an option in A which says the bike sharing program has improved air quality. So as I said, promoting healthy lifestyles, you know in purely from a common sense standpoint, it means that there is a reduction in pollution, right? So option A looks very good. Now if you look at some of the other options, starting from option B, it says many residents prefer biking to driving. Now bike sharing does not necessarily mean that they are biking per se. Biking would mean you are riding the bike. Bike sharing would mean कि you are riding as a pillion, right? तो bike sharing ऐसे हो सकता है कि otherwise you had taken your own bike had there been no bike sharing. But since there is bike sharing in place, and there is a widespread adoption of the same, and now people who would otherwise take their bikes out, they are riding as pillions on some other people's bikes, right? So biking, many residents prefer biking to driving, does not look like the assumption, right? Now, see, there has been a quantifiable increase in the usage of bikes by city residents. This option too, looks rather odd because it's not necessary that it has led to an increase in the usage of bikes, right? What it means is, again, two people traveling to work on two different bikes, now they are using just one bike. So commonsensically it could mean that number of bikes on roads there's a reduction in the number of bikes, people are now bike sharing. But on the other hand, it could mean some people who would have taken their cars out, they are not doing that and they are sharing bikes with some other people, right? So, it could. So again, it is a possibility there is an increase in the usage of bikes, and there is also a possibility that there is no increase in usage. People are just sharing bikes, right? So C also did not make much sense to me. The city will expand the program to all neighborhoods. That could have been easily eliminated. So this question was in the gray, right? A looked to be the best option to me, and therefore I think A is the answer here, but then none of the options were really good. And this was one such rare instance, question number 81. It, in this particular set, which is I think the O set, it happened to be the first question that we got. But yes, it's one of the rare questions in this particular set, which is the answer is not really great. None of the options are really great. So I'm just going with A because lack of any other good option, right? But this could go anywhere. Okay, answer इसमें answer की में कुछ भी दे सकते हैं वो. 82. Researchers claim that planting trees in urban areas can significantly reduce. What I'll also do is I'll just quickly open the app here so that I'm able to also looking at the comment in the comment section. Okay. Researchers claim that planting trees in urban areas can significantly reduce summer temperatures. Which of the following, if true, most strengthen this claim? So it's talking about temperatures, right? A says trees provide shade and release water vapor through transpiration. So A looks okay, right? It looks good enough. B says planting trees is more expensive than other cooling measures. Expensive is rather irrelevant to the argument here. Our urban residents enjoy spending time in green spaces. Again, this does not tell us that planting trees reduce summer temperatures, right? So C is out. T says trees improve air quality by absorbing pollutants. Again, this is irrelevant to the claim about reduction in summer temperature. So A is the best. So A is correct. Okay. I'm putting these texts using a mouse. If you don't get them immediately, you can tell me through live chat. Right. So 81 is A, and 82 is A again. Okay. 1 second. Right. So 81 is. Okay. So we are moving past the legal reasoning question, and we are doing question number 84 then, which is a syllogism question. And I'll just clear the screen for this one. So and I have drawn the minimum overlap diagrams for some of these questions. So we can just refer to the diagram quickly and go about solving them. So all samosas are delicious. Some delicious are spicy. We have drawn that. No spicy is steamed. So this part is steamed here, right? This circle. This is a steamed wala circle. Which one of the following conclusion necessarily follows? Some samosas are spicy. So it's not necessary that some samosas are spicy. Some delicious are spicy, right? So one is out. Okay. Some delicious are not steamed. So yes, no spicy is steamed. So this portion of spicy, which is also part of delicious, right? The intersection. So this intersection is also not steamed. So we can definitely say some delicious are not steamed. So this is fine. No samosa is steamed. Now this one is I don't know if you found this tricky. No samosa is steamed. So by the looks of it, by the looks of the minimum overlap diagram, it seems that no samosa is steamed. But let me just check. Okay, so we take the opposite. We understand that logic, right? We take the opposite of the negative conclusion. Some samosa are steamed. हमने steam को st किया हुआ है. So we are checking whether some samosa are steamed is possible or not. Right? 1 second. Okay, so whether some steamed are samosa is possible or not. Just quickly place it here. So this is what we are checking for. If it is yes, then no samosa is steamed does not follow. So very quickly, can steamed come completely inside delicious? What do you think? Can steamed be here? some samosa are steamed. In that case, just see spicy is still not steamed. Spicy or steamed में तभी भी overlap नहीं हो रहा. Okay, so steamed could very well be inside D. There is no problem, right? No statement is getting violated. So since I have been able to show that some samosa are steamed is a possibility, right? No samosa is steamed is also only a possibility. It does not really follow, right? So 3 does not follow. So this red circle, ये जो छोटा red circle I have drawn, right? This is the possible wala diagram here, right? So the correct answer for 84 will be D, Delhi. Only 2 follows. Okay. The next one, all engineers know mathematics that I have drawn. Some coders are engineers. So it is not purely a minimum overlap diagram, but then we can do with this. Purely minimum overlap hota wherein E or coder, engineer or mathematics एक साथ बस overlap कर रहा था, coder और mathematics में extra overlap नहीं होता, this overlap, right? ये नहीं होता. That would have been a pure minimum overlap diagram, but we can do with this. Question हो जाएगा इससे, we'll be able to manage. All right. And no artist is an engineer, okay? Some coders know mathematics. Yes, of course, there is a region of overlap between engineers knowing mathematics and coders. So that is fine. 85.1, that is fine. Some mathematicians can also code. Again, there was an overlap region. I will shade it in green, right? So this is the overlap region जहाँ पे engineer, mathematician, and coding all get overlap. So that's also okay. Some artists know mathematics. That is only a possibility. So 85 is C, 1 and 2. 84 is D, 85 is C, everyone. Okay, moving on. One second. Have we left any question? हाँ, तो ये word analogy वाले questions and these were easy. So oxygen is to lungs. What fuel is to engine? B is correct here. 86. 86 is B. Author is to book. Author writes the book. Composer composes the symphony. 87 is B. And 88 must have been discussed already. So we move on. One second. Again, couple of syllogism questions. Okay, so there is one diagram that is already drawn by whoever the test taker was, which is in the pencil. Okay, so don't look at that diagram, but what I've realized is जो भी जिसने भी ये diagrams बनाए they have done it properly. Okay, but yes, you focus on the diagram in red. Okay, that is the diagram that we have drawn. The one in pencil is the one which a certain test taker has drawn. Okay. So now shopkeepers are big, so that we have drawn. Some big persons violate night curfew. So this part, some big persons violate night curfew, that we have drawn. All who violate night curfew are fine, that we have drawn. And we are given that Anil is big, right? Anil is big in the outer circle, B wala circle, right? Anil is a shopkeeper, not necessarily, right? He's in the big circle, right? But he's not necessarily in the small circle. Anil may violate a night curfew. May is fine, right? Not necessarily, but may is fine. So 2 is correct. Anil will definitely violate night curfew. That we can't say. 3 is out. If Anil is a shopkeeper, he'll get fined. Not necessarily. Anil will definitely get fined. That is also out. So only 2. 89 is B. Okay. Then 90th. Some cyclists are marathoners, and we have drawn this. In fact, I have reused the diagram that this test taker had drawn because it was all right. So some cyclists are marathoners. All marathoners train rigorously. The statement after that is a little vague. It says some trainees are amateurs, right? So we can sort of treat that train rigorously wala, this term, and we can treat it as trainees wala circle, right? So some trainees are amateurs. So this is the circle, right? Some trainees are amateurs. But this one is easy otherwise. Some cyclists train rigorously. So yes, this is the region between cyclists and marathoners, which, as in it also overlaps with train rigorously. So A is fine by us. All cyclists are amateurs. That is not getting, as in it's not necessarily, does not necessarily follow. No trainees are marathoner is definitely out. Some amateurs are marathoners. Again, that is not a necessity, does not necessarily follow. D is out. 91. So again, the diagram drawn by this test taker is almost fine. I think it is fine. So we can just use this diagram. All renewable energy sources reduce carbon emissions. Okay, so ye renewable wala is the inner circle, and reduction in carbon emissions is this outer wala circle, right? So we can just write C here, reduction in carbon, okay? Some renewable energy sources are expensive to install. So this circle is the one which is expensive. This is E. Solar energy is a renewable energy source. So ye RE wala circle mein, it's in that inner circle. Consider the following conclusions. Solar energy reduces carbon emission. So solar energy is a renewable energy resource. So inner circle mein, so obviously it reduces carbon emissions. So that is fine. One is fine. All expensive energy sources are renewable. All we don't have the support. Some hai. Some renewable energy resources are not expensive. We have all three statements as our positive statements, so negative conclusion will not follow. It is a possibility, but does not necessarily follow. So 2 and 3 are out. Option A is correct here. Just a second. Option A, only one flows, right? So the tick is on A and not B. Okay. Now, moving on to the 92nd. So artist is to painting, and we need an option that sort of is analogical. So artist is to painting, artist draws the painting, author writes the novel. So 92 is A. So 93 again, I think we are just reusing the diagram drawn by this test taker, who seems to have done pretty well on syllogism questions. Anyway, all parathas are sustainable. So parathas, P inner circle and sustainable outer circle. Some sustainable are cost effective. So with the outer circle, we are drawing cost effective. Some sustainable are cost effective. And all cost effective are popular. So ये popular is the ये वाला circle जो ये oval shape लग रहा है. So this circle, right? So this is popular wala circle, okay? Now, some popular are parathas, not necessarily, right? Paratha is this inner circle, right? So it's not necessary that some popular are parathas. वो outer circle के साथ overlap है, but inner circle के साथ necessary नहीं है. So one is out. All parathas are popular. So that too some sustainable or cost effective. हाँ तो ये भी गड़बड़ है, right? Some का हो रहा है infer, not all. Some sustainable are popular. Yes, of course. Some sustainable are cost effective and all cost effective are popular. So obviously some sustainable are popular. So 3 is fine. Once again. So option B is correct here. 93B is correct. Okay. So now then we have some of the typical critical reasoning questions, 10 then weekend and all of that. 94, Roorkee city plans to replace all diesel buses with electric buses within 5 years to reduce air pollution. Officials claim that this will significantly, just look at this word, significantly improve air quality and reduce respiratory illnesses. Which of the following is an assumption made by the officials? Right? A says electric buses are affordable for the city to maintain. Let's say they are currently not affordable to maintain, but public health is a more pressing issue for the city, and they are fine, incurring some costs, and they'll try to make it affordable in the times to come, right? So it's not immediately necessary that electric buses are affordable currently. As I said, they may be expensive to for the city to maintain, right? And they'll sort of with time they'll work towards making it affordable, right? We are looking at this so critically because we have another option which says air pollution is in Roorkee city is primarily caused by diesel buses, right? So primarily के साथ भी कुछ लोगों को problem हो सकती है कि sir it's okay, all we need is that it is caused by diesel buses, but officials have used this word significantly. So in order for the pollution to come down significantly, right, primary would just be right here, according to me. So option B is a better option than A. C says residents will support transition to electric buses. Now, again, maybe residents are not a stakeholder, right? The state is just pushing through the policy because they think air pollution is a major issue. So even if many of the residents are not quite okay with it, they're just pushing it through, right? So again, this is not absolutely necessary. D says other sources of pollution will also be reduced during this period. So that is again not necessary. So option B is correct here, 94. Okay. Next one. Many schools have introduced digital textbooks, arguing that they are more cost effective and environmentally friendly than printed books. So just look at this word cost effective because it comes into play when we are looking at the options. Which of the following, if true, would most weaken this argument? Digital textbooks require devices that many students cannot afford. And that immediately attacks that point of these being cost effective, right? That many people won't be able to afford the devices to be able to use these digital textbooks. So that immediately weakens it. B says printed books are more fragile than electronic devices. So that does not weaken for sure. Some teachers prefer printed books. Okay, so it talks of some teachers. What if most teachers prefer digital books, right? So again, it does not seem to be a big operational hurdle. C is out. Students find digital textbooks more engaging. So that seems to strengthen the argument, not weaken it. So option A is correct for 95. Once again. 95 is A. 94 is B. 95 is A. Okay. All right. 96, right? Free school meals increased attendance. Which assumption is needed to claim free meals caused attendance to rise? What is the assumption? तो ये वैसा ही cause effect वाला question है, and we have seen many cause effect questions, causal reasoning questions in this paper. So whenever the author is saying A causes B, the assumption is there is no alternate cause causing B, right? So killing an alternate cause is an assumption, right? A says meal distribution was the main change during the period, right? Because the author is attributing it to the free school meals, right? So A reinforces that is this was the main change during the period and not anything else. So that becomes an assumption, right? B says teachers were more vigilant about taking attendance. It seems to weaken the argument. Then maybe it's because of the teachers being vigilant and not free school meals, right? So this seems to be an alternate cause. So B is out. School built new classrooms which could accommodate more students. Again, this looks like an alternate cause, tends to weaken the argument. C is out. D says local incomes doubled, leading to a flux of new admissions. Again, that is an alternate cause. So all other three options weaken. A is the only option that fits as the assumption. A is correct in 96. Okay. So 97 ka diagram we have drawn, and again just check how we have just reused the diagram drawn by this test taker, right? Just put the alphabets inside the circles. Otherwise the diagram was okay, whoever has drawn it. All architects are visionary. Some visionary people are designers. So designer wala circle is only overlapping with the outer circle and not with the inner circle. No designer is a lawyer. So that circle, wo jo no designer is a lawyer, is the वो lawyer वाला circle है. The line is in between to show that designers and lawyers cannot overlap. Which of the following conclusion necessarily follows? Some visionary people are not lawyers. So obviously this part of visionary जो designers के साथ overlap कर रहा है, I'm shading it in red, right? It has turned little darker red, right? So this portion is obviously not lawyers. So some visionary are not lawyers is a definite conclusion. Okay, so that's fine. Some architects are designers, not necessary. All designers are visionary, not necessary. So only one follows. 97 ka B is correct. Okay. All right, moving on. All astronauts are smokers. ठीक है, तो ये बना हुआ है all astronauts. I think this is the diagram which the person has drawn and this is fine. तो देखो यहाँ से start कर सकते हैं drawing, जहाँ पे ये दिया था some astronauts are drivers, right? So ये A और D का overlap है. Some astronauts are drivers. All astronauts smoke. So this is the correct diagram. All astronauts smoke. So A वाला circle is completely inside smoke, and then driver वाला circle is completely inside ski. ठीक है, so this is the diagram we are referring to. Kamlesh is an astronaut. If Kamlesh is an astronaut, he is definitely a smoker. Everything else is just possible. So just going through the list, I think the only thing we can infer is Kamlesh is a smoker. 3 is correct. And that is given to us in option B. So I'm really glad that because last time 2025 and I think even in 2024 they got some syllogism questions incorrect, but there is one question and we'll come to that which is in the gray. But barring that, the answers to, and we'll wait for the answer key also, but I think the answers to all of these questions, at least we have the right answer, correct answer, correct sort of option in all of the questions, right? So there's no more major problem there, barring some assumption questions that we have discussed 2 of them. Okay. Moving on, 99 must have been discussed. 100th देखते हैं then. 1 second. So this one too, I think, is covered in the sense that the diagram, I think, is fine. Let's see. All renewable energy plants are environment friendly. So again, the person has got the diagram correct for the first statement. Some solar plants are renewable energy plants, and this is also correct. So the diagram is correct here. So this one is solar plants, and this is what this is environment friendly wala circle, right? No coal plant is environment friendly, and this diagram is absolutely fine. Uh, which of the following conclusion necessarily follows? Some solar plants are environmental friendly. तो हमको क्या दिया था? Some solar plants are renewable energy. So yes, some solar plants are environmental friendly. So this is fine. No coal plant is renewable energy plant. For sure, if it does not overlap with the outer circle, it cannot overlap with the inner circle. So this is also fine. Some coal plants are solar plants. So that is out. So 1 and 2 is what we need. 100th is A. A is correct. Okay. 101. A company switches to 4-day work week and observes no productivity drop. Leaders claim the schedule is efficient. Which assumption is needed to support the leader's claim? So they're saying uh, schedule is efficient, right? And the first line said a company switches to a 4-day work week and observe no productivity drop. So they have reduced the number of days, but there was no productivity drop. And the conclusion is schedule is efficient. Okay. A says productivity was measured accurately, and we're looking for the assumption. Productivity was measured accurately and comparably before and after the change. Now that's the basic requirement, right? In order for the leader to claim that schedule is efficient, the what's necessary is that they have done the measurement accurately. If somebody says measurements were not accurate, then everything will fall apart, right? Then the argument won't stand. So A is good. B says employees prefer longer weekends due to higher tendency to burn out in longer weeks. If this is the exact reason, we don't know from the argument. Argument is a very two-liner small argument. It's not fleshed out. तो क्या ये exact चीज है? It's not necessary, right? Office rent decreased after the switch, then that is quite a bad option. B is out. D says competitors already use a 4-day work week. So that is also out. Option A is a straightforward one. A is correct. That measuring the productivity was measured accurately. If that's not the case, then the claim, as I said, falls apart. A is correct. Okay. Moving on. 102. Just a second. Recruiters prefer candidates from top tier colleges, believing they perform better. Which assumption underpins this practice? Okay. Top tier graduates always outperform others. So that's not required. The belief is that they will outperform, at least most of them will outperform, but always outperform. We don't require such a statement. Interviewers dislike screening many applicants. Again, that is not sort of critical to the claim. Reputation matters more than skill. Who says that, right? Reputation and skill could be equally important for them, right? They're just saying that we start or we prefer top tier colleges, right? So they're not sort of ruling out the skill. College brand is a reliable proxy for a candidate's likely performance, right? That's the assumption, right? D is correct. Straightforward. A survey finds most employees prefer flexible hours over a higher salary. Which inference is most reasonable? Work-life balance is highly valued. Yes, that looks good. Salary is unimportant. Not unimportant, but maybe less important than flexible hours, right? Only young workers were surveyed, that is out. Employees don't want promotions, again, that is not getting inferred. A is correct. So this must have been discussed. 106 we are doing. In a study on workplace productivity, employees with flexible schedules reported higher job satisfaction. So flexible schedules, higher job satisfaction. That looks to be the running theme in many of these questions, right? However, productivity levels between flexible and fixed schedule employees were almost the same. So there was no sort of change in productivity, right? So it's fine that they find they report higher job satisfaction with flexible schedules, but productivity there's no real impact on productivity, and we have to find which conclusion is correct. Job satisfaction always lead to higher productivity, and this is contradicted in the passage, so A is out. Productivity is influenced by factors other than work schedules. Yeah, that looks okay, right? That there's something else at play, right? Schedules is not really having any impact on productivity. Flexible schedules harm team coordination, that is out. Most employees prefer fixed schedules. I think that is again not getting inferred. So B is correct. Public health officials warn that air pollution increases the risk of respiratory disease. A recent drop in pollution levels coincided with a fall in. So, look how this word is used, coincided. It's not saying it has caused a decline in new respiratory disease cases. It just says that they look correlated, right? Which of the following, if true, most strengthens the official's warning? So, we need an option that tells actually drop in pollution is the cause. अभी तक उसने बोला है कि they seem to it seems to be a coincidence or correlation. So we any option that tells us it is actually the cause will strengthen the official's warning. So again, this is a causal. It is a question based on causal reasoning, right? All right. So respiratory disease causes respiratory disease cases usually peak in winter. So that is irrelevant. The cities with the largest drop in pollution saw the largest fall in cases, and that sort of reinforces the causal point कि drop in pollution is likely the cause for fall in cases. So B is correct. The decline in cases was higher in rural areas than urban. That is again irrelevant. There was major health awareness campaign during the period. So it seems to weaken the argument. This looks like an alternate cause. So D is out. Option B is correct. 107. Okay, moving on. The government announced subsidies for electric vehicles to encourage consumers to buy more EVs. However, sales of EVs remain stagnant. So they announced subsidies, but the sales remain stagnant. Which of the following, if true, would best explain the outcome? A says charging infrastructure for EVs remains inadequate. So that could be the reason that people are not buying EVs because there's no sufficient charging infrastructure, right? So A is a good option. B says EV manufacturers release new affordable models. So that should have been a reason for more EVs being sold, but it remains stagnant. So it does not explain that. Petrol prices fell marginally during the period. Marginally. So it seems to be a no impact, right? Agar had they fallen dramatically or significantly, then we could have said कि maybe people don't have enough motivation to buy EVs. But it says marginally. तो ये no impact option लग रहा है. It does not really explain. C is out. Public awareness about EVs increased significantly. So then they should have bought EVs, right? We should have seen a jump, but it remains stagnant. So it does not explain that. A is correct. Okay. All right. So वो 81 वाला क्वेश्चन यू सेइंग कि चैट जीपीटी में अलग आंसर बता रहा है. आई एम श्योर चैट जीपीटी में अलग आंसर बता रहा होगा, बट आई हैव केप्ट इट इन द ग्रे. देयर इज नो रियल गुड ऑप्शन देयर. ओके, All right. A vaccine trial reports a 60% reduction in disease incidence in the trial population, which is the safest inference. 60% reduction in disease incidence. And remember, this is a trial. Okay? The vaccine is effective in similar populations under similar conditions. So this too looks a little far-fetched, lekin you will realize कि A seems to be the best option. If you look at B, the vaccine eliminates the disease everywhere. ये तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही exaggerated है. B is out. No further studies are needed. That is also out. Effectiveness is identical across all age groups. So that again seems to be an exaggeration. So D is out. So even though A also looks a little exaggerated, right? But we can live with A, and if we have to mark one, amongst these four, we'll mark A. So 110, I think, has been discussed. We'll quickly move on to 111. So again, I think we'll be able to use this diagram drawn by this kid who seems to have done syllogism questions. It seems that he's gotten all correct, he or she. Anyway, 111, all emails are messages, right? So email inner circle, messages outer circle. Some messages are urgent, no urgent are casual, right? So the diagram is just fine. Which of the following conclusions follow? Some emails are casual, that is out. Some messages are not casual. So yes, ये वाला जो portion है red में messages and urgent जहाँ overlap कर रहा है, this portion is not casual. So some messages are not casual is fine. All urgent messages are emails, that is also out, right? So 111 is A. Okay, let's move on. So principal fact, legal reasoning question. 113. A city plans to replace cash bus fares with a QR only system to reduce revenue leakage. Critics argue ridership among the elderly will drop. Okay, which assumption best supports the critics? So, ridership among the elderly will drop. Okay, a large proportion of elderly commuters lack smartphones or find QR payments difficult. So, it directly ties to that, introduction of QR only system. So, A looks good. B says younger commuters prefer QR payment due to higher smartphone use. So, what younger commuters like or dislike is not really concerning the argument. C says conductors are not trained to handle QR codes. Again, maybe they are trained, but elderly will still find it difficult because they themselves either lack, as A says, either lack the smartphones capable of reading the QR, or they'll still find it difficult, right? So C is not really critical. D says a study found that QR systems reduce revenue leakage in other cities, so that is also not an assumption. Option A is correct here. Excessive sugar sweetened beverage intake correlates with higher cavity rates. So excessive sugar correlates with higher cavity rates. तो correlation अभी बताया, causation नहीं बताया. A claim is made that such beverage cause cavities. Now the claim comes that they are not only correlated, actually such beverages cause cavities, which if true, most weakens the causal claim. Okay. Participants with higher sugar sweetened beverage consumption were also found to have poor oral hygiene and less frequent dental checkups compared to low consumption participants. तो यहाँ पे लग रहा है कि कोई alternate cause है, right? कि they have poorer oral hygiene and they have less frequent dental checkups. So maybe these are the reasons for cavities and not beverages, right? So A looks to weaken the claim. B says the study's large sample size included diverse populations which may have introduced uncontrolled variability affecting the observed correlation. By how much? To what degree? Right? Uh, so we can say it has affected to some degree or to a minimal degree, right? So this option is not that definite. कि एकदम ही गड़बड़ हो गया है, right? So A is still a better option because it introduces two alternate causes, right? So we let go of B. And also the phrasing is may, right? A looks better. C says surveys indicate that many dental professionals believe sugar contributes to cavities and regardless of other lifestyle factors. Okay, sugar contributes to cavities regardless of other lifestyle factors. So I would say, A and C both have come close, and we'll just circle back to C. Let's just first look at D also. Evidence shows that cavity formation depends on multiple factors, including genetics, diet. So, in fact, option C, we are not circling back because we are looking for a weekend wala thing. Na? So, yeah, C is out. Many dental professionals with sugar contribute. So, this is out, definitely. D is the one which is interesting. Evidence shows that cavity formation depends on multiple factors, including genetics, diet, and oral microbiome, and sugar alone may not be sufficient. So in the end, it says sugar alone may not be sufficient to cause cavities. Now this part makes this option also very strong, right? A and D. But maybe just maybe the author is not really saying that, sugar alone is the problem, right? The author is not really claiming that sugar alone is the problem. Maybe the author is, because just look at the first line, sugar sweetened beverage, higher cavity. And the claim is beverage causes cavities, right? So maybe the author is not pinning everything down to sugar. Maybe there's something else also in the beverage. And maybe the author's claim is not that sugar alone is the reason, right? क्योंकि वहां पे beverage sugar sweetened beverage and beverage का point है. So I think A can be given as an answer, but yes, D also came very close. So I'll keep 114 along with 81 in the gray. Okay, we are giving A as the option, but yes, it might just be D. Okay. All right. Just a second. Moving on. Congestion pricing approach reduces peak hour trips in several cities, which assumption supports using it in a new city. Congestion pricing reduces peak hour car trips. Okay. Drivers will respond to price signals by shifting time or mode of travel. A looks like a good option. B says public transport would be able to fulfill the demand. So when they are saying, what are they targeting? They are targeting peak hour car trips. So let's just say public transport won't be able to fulfill the demand, right? Because we are assuming कि सारे peak hour वाले car trips will spill over and move on to public transport. Maybe that's not the case. They are not actually, they'll not immediately start using public transport. What they can also do, right, as is being said in A, suggested in A, कि they might just shift the time. So maybe complete spillover is not happening and not everybody has started using public transport. So maybe public transport is, firstly not equipped to handle the entire demand. And secondly, that scenario may not arise. So agar 11 se 11 to 1 is the peak hour, maybe people have started traveling before 11 and after 1. So they are not started using public transport. So demand wala issue aayega in this scenario. So A is a better option, right? So we will let go of B. C says drivers dislike road taxes and would therefore stop using cars. Again, we are just sort of addressing the peak hour car trips. So it's not really the case. It's not necessarily the case that they will stop using cars. It might just be the case they'll change the time of travel. So C is out. Fuel prices will fall. That is also out. So option A is correct. 115. Oops. Okay. And for 116, we have drawn the diagram. All poets write poems. Some poets are critics. We have drawn for that. No critic ignores structure, right? तो हमने ये वाली line draw कर दी है to show critics and ignoring structures, they will not overlap. So no critic ignores structures, right? Some poets do not ignore structures. That looks good, right? Some poets do not ignore structures. This wala part, जहाँ पे critics or some critics are poets दिया था ना, this part. All critics write poems, so that is out. No poet is a critic, that is out. Some critics do not write poems, that is not necessary. So option A is correct, 116. Okay. Okay, the answer key is out. I think somebody's telling me. So you can go and have a look at the answer key, but we'll continue our discussion. We'll just try to complete this. Explanations can still happen, and if you find that answer key is little amiss, you can raise your objections. Okay. Okay, so this must have been covered. 117. Okay, 118. So this was another question जहाँ पे थोड़ा सा problem था, and we will look at it. So some apps are free. All free apps have ads. So this is how I've drawn. Some apps are free. This is the shaded part. And all free apps have ads. So this is what it is, right? Free apps have ads. तो ये वाला जो shaded part है ना, इसको हमने थोड़ा बड़ा कर दिया है, right? So that I'm able to draw the remaining statements. So this basically the apps or free वाला common वाला part है. We have sort of magnified it. तो यहाँ पे क्या है, जो ये वाला portion था, free apps, all free apps are ad supported. And then it is given some ad supported apps are high rated. So that is this portion. Which of the following necessarily follows? Some free apps are high rated. So this is in the gray. ठीक है? तो free apps जरूरी नहीं है high rated है, but I think there is no other option that's correct then. All high rated apps have ads. That is not getting inferred. No free app is high rated. All the statements are positive. Negative conclusion will not follow. All ad supported apps are free. So that also हमको दिया था all free apps have ads. और ये उसका reverse है. That is also only a possibility. So as I said, some free apps are high rated. That is also not exactly getting inferred, but I think they'll go with A here. Okay. तो अगर आपने A mark किया है, and even if you think that it is good enough to sort of raise an objection, go ahead. A is not technically getting inferred. Okay. 119. Recycling bins are placed in a mall and trash volume falls. Which assumption is necessary to claim recycling caused the drop? So people are driven towards recycling given the opportunity. Okay, let's keep this. The aesthetics of recycling infrastructure drives usage. We don't know, not that specific, right? So it's not necessary. Mall footfall remained stable during the observation period. And that is critical, right? If mall footfall has increased or decreased, that may be the reason that trash volume falls. For example, mall footfall has come down, right? Then there will be a problem. Then we can't really say that recycling has caused the drop. Maybe the volume has come down, right? So C is a better option. Mall introduce fees for usage of bins. So that is also out. Option C is correct here. 120. Once again. Introducing cycling lanes reduce minor collisions in a district. Which of the following more strongly supports the causal link between these events? Causal links matlab cycling lanes reduces minor collisions. A says decline in collisions was largely confined to stretches of road where the new cycling lanes were introduced with little changes elsewhere in the district. So that reinforces that causal claim. कि it's because of these cycling lanes and nothing else. जहाँ पर introduce नहीं करी cycling lanes, वहाँ पे reduce नहीं हुआ. Minor collisions did not come down. So A is correct here. It reinforces that claim. After the introduction of cycling lanes, the local government also launched a citywide awareness campaign promoting road safety. That is either irrelevant or weaken the claim. हमको दिखाना है it's because of the introduction of lanes that the minor collisions have come down. A is doing that. Data from the same period show that average vehicular traffic volumes decline due to fuel prices increases and expansion of public transport routes. Again, that is either irrelevant or weaken the claim. Right, looks like an alternate cause. D says several nearby districts which did not introduce cycling lanes reported similar reductions in minor collisions. So again, D weakens the claim by showing it's not cycling lanes, it is something else. So D is also out. Option A is correct. 121. All scientists hold PhDs. तो ये हमने draw कर दिया है. Some engineers are scientists that we have drawn. And the last statement is a conditional statement, लेकिन हम उसको manage कर लेंगे. यहाँ पे लिखा है no scientist works without the access to laboratory. What it means is laboratory access is necessary for being a scientist, right? तो अगर scientist है, they have access to laboratory. This is what it means, right? Which of the following are conclusions? All scientists work in laboratory. So what we can conclude from this conditional statement, the last statement is all scientists have access to laboratory, right? So access to laboratory or work in the laboratory थोड़े से अलग हैं, but maybe they have given this as the answer, okay? Abhi, we are not matching it to the key, right? I will keep this to, it's good that you are letting me know कि answer key में कुछ अलग दिया है, कैसे दिया है. I'll keep this, okay? I'll keep the live chat. I'll do this after we end with this, okay? And we'll do a post, right? We'll do a YouTube video on that, जो भी हम लोग को लग रहा है. So don't worry. Okay. Some engineers have PhD, that is fine. Okay. And all engineers are scientists, that is not getting inferred. So 1 and 2 is correct. So 121 is A, right? So it's good that some people are checking this and watching the video. Whatever doubts you have, keep posting them. Okay. I am myself getting calls from my own students, telling that excited to tell me the scores, but yes, I will have to complete this. 122, the phenomenon of urbanization has led to significant changes in social structures and community interactions. As people migrate from rural to cities, they often face challenges, all of that. You must have read this, so I'll be quick about this. Studies indicate that urban residents tend to form new types of relationships, often relying on informal networks and community groups, right? All of this. While urban living can foster innovation and economic opportunities, it can also contribute feelings of loneliness and decline in mental health, right? All of this. Now, if the above is true, which of the following is most contradicted? What is opposite? Urbanizations create both opportunities and challenges, that is getting inferred. Social isolation in urban areas can negatively impact individuals' mental health, that is getting inferred. People who migrate to cities typically maintain their traditional support. This is contradicted. C is correct. Informal networks and community groups are essential for urban residents to establish new social gains. So this is not getting contradicted. D is out. So 122 ka is C. Okay. Then, if the above is true, which of the following can be most readily inferred? The economic benefits of urbanization outweigh its social and psychological costs for most urban residents. That looks exaggerated, is out. Migration to urban areas invariably leads to social isolation and deteriorating mental health. Invariably मतलब होता है always, right? वहाँ पे often लिखा था. So this is also exaggerated. Urban living inherently discourages the formation of meaningful interpersonal relationships. That also looks little exaggerated. Let's look at D. Urbanization transforms traditional social ties but compels individuals to seek alternative forms of community to sustain social well-being. D is a better option. Inherently discourages any meaningful interpersonal relationships would be an extreme option. D is correct. 124. Okay, so I will, and people are really getting excited, and what I'll do is I'll ask somebody to just respond in the chat box also. And just give me some time, just remain hooked on, okay? All teachers are creative people, all creative people are sensitive, and that we have drawn. No insensitive person is a teacher. आप देखो पहले दो स्टेटमेंट से ही तीसरा स्टेटमेंट इम्प्लाई हो रहा है कि अगर टीचर है then they are sensitive, right? It's not the case that teacher insensitive. That's not possible, okay? So which of the following necessarily follows? Some sensitive people are teachers, that is fine. All sensitive people are teachers. All teachers are sensitive, but the reverse is not necessarily true. No teacher is insensitive, that is fine. Okay, so 1 and 3, C is correct. Anamika complains that in her debate club, she is always assigned to the less preferred side of the argument, while another member consistently gets the more popular choice. Which of the following, if true, supports Anamika's complaint? Anamika's complaint, so it is a complaint. Assignments are rotated randomly, and Anamika's side often ends up unpopular by chance. तो complaint का reason नहीं होगा, right? We need something to support the complaint, so A is out. The club president privately admits giving the popular side to the other member due to personal friendship, right? So this looks like the correct option, right? The club president. I think Anamika is not the club president, right? Right. So privately admits to the other member due to. So B is correct here. That is simple. The other options can be eliminated. 125 is B. Okay. So 126, 127 may have been covered already. Must have been covered. 128. An econometric study used difference in differences technique, which is really a comparison, finds no significant employment effect from a minimum wage hike. No significant employment effect. Which evidence most strengthens this finding? Some firms in the treated region reported difficulty in hiring, even though aggregate employment did not change significantly. I think we can do with a better option. Let's keep A on the side. Overall labor costs increased slightly in the treated region, but wages for most workers remained unchanged. Okay, that too is not a great option. Employment trends in similar regions without minimum wage hike were nearly identical to the trends in regions with the hike before and after the policy change, right? So policy change did not have a real effect. और वही दिया हुआ था no significant employment effect, right? So C is correct here. Okay, D is again a bigger option. C is the best. Okay, diversity may bring people to the same room, but inclusion ensures that every voice is heard, valued, and allowed to keep the conversation. It demands that institutions go beyond representation to transformation. Okay, so one thing is diversity. You are making sure that you have people from all groupings, right? All communities. And then there is inclusion where you provide opportunity, or the environment is inclusive enough to let these people voice their opinions, right? तो diversity हो गई कि आपने numerical diversity maintain की हुई है, you have representation from various groupings, but inclusion is you are actually empowering them to voice their opinion, right? So that is the difference. So based on the passage, which of the following is getting inferred? Inclusion requires active structural and cultural change within institution, not merely diverse representation. So that is fine. This is the crux of the passage, right? Other options can easily be eliminated, जैसे diversity and inclusion are interchangeable, ये तो contradict हो रहा है. Increasing the number of underrepresented individuals is adequate to secure inclusion. Adequate नहीं है, inclusion is something else. You are also empowering them. So D is also out. 130th. Which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the author's argument? Institutions that create deliberate mechanisms for inclusive participation tend to make more equitable and widely supported policy decisions. Yes, inclusion is better. Inclusion is good. A supports that. A is correct. So 131 may have been discussed. I'm slightly going through them quickly because you may have read the paragraphs already. So 133 and 134 may have been discussed. We'll quickly do 132. All birds fly, all penguins are birds. It's drawn. Some birds migrate. It's drawn. Some who migrate swim. So everything is accounted for. Penguins can fly, obviously. So A is correct. I don't think other options are really, not good enough to consider, right? So A is correct here. Then what else? Doctor is to hospital. What? So doctor operates in a hospital. Teacher operates in a classroom. So this is D. 135 is D. So 136 must have been discussed. 137. All mathematicians are statisticians. Drawn. Some statisticians are computer scientists. Drawn. No computer scientist is a mathematician. So we have drawn this line between mathematician and computer scientist. So they cannot overlap. Some statisticians are not mathematicians. Yes. तो जो ये वाला part है statistician का, जो computer scientist वाला है, they are not mathematicians. So this is fine. All statisticians are computer scientists, not getting inferred. Some mathematicians are computer scientists. That is contradicted. A is correct. Research indicates that regular physical activity is crucial for maintaining overall health and preventing severe diseases. Engaging in moderate exercise can improve overall health, enhance mood, boost immune system, all of that. Okay, despite these benefits, individuals remain sedentary due to lack of motivation or resources. All of this. Okay. So easy passage. Which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the argument presented above? Okay. Individuals who engage in regular physical activity are more likely to have access to healthcare services. So healthcare services is not really discussed in the argument. This is irrelevant. Communities that have implemented fitness programs report higher levels of overall satisfaction with their health on a long-term basis. Yes, fitness programs, better health, overall satisfaction. B is good. Many people cite a lack of time as the primary reason. तो उसने बोला था कि lack of motivation है या resources है. Primary reason क्या है? It's irrelevant, right? Group fitness classes are often less expensive than personal training sessions. That is also out. B is correct. And what will weaken the argument? So this one is also, I think, simple. यहाँ पे option was a straightforward one, 139 का. Participants of community exercise programs tend to revert to sedentary habits once the programs conclude, leading to a no lasting improvement in health outcomes. So community exercise programs do not really work, right? At least the improvement is not long lasting. So A weakens it. Other options could have been easily eliminated. Okay, so 140 must have been discussed. 141. Online grocery stores in Delhi have reported a 50% increase in sales over the past year. Analysts attribute this to convenience of home delivery and competitive pricing. Which of the following must be assumed for the analysts' conclusions to hold? So they are saying this is because of the convenience and competitive pricing. I think the only option that makes sense here is that customers value convenience over in-store shopping, right? That is fine. 142, we have drawn the diagram. One second. 141 का A है. Some birds are flightless. All sparrows are birds. All birds have beaks. So we have drawn this. All sparrows have beaks. Yes, of course, all birds have beaks and all sparrows are birds. So this is fine. Some flightless are sparrows. That is not necessary. Some beaked are flightless. Yes, some beaked are flightless because some birds are flightless. So 3 is fine. Option B is correct. All contracts are agreements. Some agreements are void. No void is enforceable. Some contracts are not enforceable. So we understand that some agreements are not enforceable because of this, but some contracts are not enforceable is not, it's not getting inferred. For example, this contracts wala circle can completely go inside enforceable without causing any problem. तो ये contracts यहाँ पे आ सकता है. I'll use I don't know. I'll use a green ink. So this is contracts. And then on top of it, we can draw A, agreement wala circle. So, and then we can draw V here. ठीक है? तो अभी भी हम दिखा सकते हैं कि some agreements are void and no void is enforceable. One second. No void is enforceable. We can still show it. So all contracts are enforceable is a possibility. So some contracts are not enforceable does not follow. No enforceable is void. I think that is getting inferred. And some agreements are not enforceable. That is also getting inferred. So 143 is A. ठीक है, ये थोड़ा difficult था. I don't know how many of you have gotten it correct. 143 is A. And then 144, all scripts are code. Some code is optimized that we have drawn. No optimized code is verbose. तो ये जो coding और optimize वाले का जो बीच वाला part था, that is not verbose. And that's how I've written. Overlap region is not verbose. So some scripts are verbose, not getting inferred. Some code is not verbose, absolutely. तो यहाँ पे था ना some code, no optimized code is verbose. So obviously some code is not verbose. All scripts are optimized, not necessary. So 144A is correct. Okay. 145. A study shows students in schools with longer library hours read more books. Policymakers conclude extending hours will increase reading everywhere. Which assumption is, what is the assumption? So I think the best option here is students will utilize these extended hours to read books, right? So, and that's what the conclusion is. Extending hours will increase reading. The assumption is they'll actually utilize it to read books. 147, justice, law, governance, policy, keyboard, typist, paintbrush, artist. 147 is B, 148 is A. And roots, tree, foundation, building, or house. House is fine. So 149 is A. 150th is a legal reasoning question, and we'll stop here and won't hold you any longer. All the best for your calculations. The answer key is out. Go and check them. If you find any problems, let us know. The CLAT Possible students can let us know through the Telegram app. Others let us know through the comments on this video, and we'll also be replying to any of the live chats queries that you have asked earlier, right? So we'll end this here. Everyone, take care. All the best. Bye bye.